Chapter 211. Transition Daily Life. Kingxie's brain was working rapidly, trying to find a solution to the current situation, but after a moment, he gave up, smiled helplessly at Yagura, and made a little bear's hand spreading gesture, indicating that he didn't have any better solution. Enough. Stop making eye contact. Chino Kizuna looked at the two brothers flirting with each other and said unhappily. Kiyoshi and Yagura smiled awkwardly, looked at each other, and breathed a sigh of relief at the same time. Since Chino Kizuna spoke in this tone, it seemed that things would be resolved peacefully today. So Kingxie didn't think about it anymore, and sat down next to Yagura, ready to receive Chino Kizuna's earnest teachings. After a friendly exchange, Chino Kizuna and Yagura left Kiyoshi's house separately, and before leaving, Yagura received a death stare from Kiyoshi. It seemed that the occasion today was not right, and Kiyoshi had to go to the ninja school to pick up the three little ones, otherwise he would have to give a good beating to this little brother Yagura who couldn't tell the difference between the big and small kings. The Hidden Mist Village, Ninja School. Yahiko, Nagato, and Konan were talking and laughing as they walked out of the school gate. Suddenly, Nagato, who was the most sensitive, seemed to have discovered something and stopped. Nagato. Yahiko and Konan looked back at Nagato who had fallen behind in confusion, wondering what he was doing. I really think I can sense the teacher's chakra, but I'm not sure. Nagato said hesitantly. He was not sure whether the chakra aura that flashed in his perception just now was Kingxie's. Before he finished his words, a hand was suddenly placed on Nagato's head and then grabbed it fiercely. Yahiko and Konan looked at the figure that suddenly appeared in front of Nagato, their eyes widened, and then they smiled happily. It was really their teacher Seiji. Nagato turned around in surprise. Sure enough, his perception was not wrong. What he sensed just now was indeed Kiyoshi's chakra aura. Kiyoshi stroked Nagato's long, soft, fiery red hair that had just fallen to his shoulders, and smiled at the three little ones. Hey! Sashi, ignore me! My lovely disciples! Teacher Kiyoshi! Konan jumped directly into Kiyoshi's arms and hung on him like a koala. Yahiko, Nagato, and I all missed you so much. Kingxie reached out to catch Konan, and looked at Nagato and Yahiko who also ran over in front of him, with a barely perceptible trace of guilt in his eyes. Indeed, he did not do a very good job as a teacher. After bringing the three little ones back to the Hidden Mist Village from the Rain Country, he basically did not fulfill his duties as a teacher. Come to think of it, the time he spent teaching the three little ones combined was not as long as that spent by his elder sister Chino. Moreover, as a teacher, he had hardly taught them anything yet. But finally he had some free time now and could devote himself to teaching his disciples properly. Let's go. Let's go home. He lifted Konan up slightly with his hands, and then the bones at Kiyoshi's waist emerged from his body surface, forming a bone chair for Konan to sit on. Then, Kiyoshi took Yahiko and Nagato by their hands respectively, forming four figures, one big and three small. Under the light of the setting sun, the shadows became longer and longer. For the next period of time, the war continued to burn on the ninja continent, and fierce battles continued between the various ninja villages. The Sand Village and Konoha Village, the Cloud Village and the Iwagakure Village, the Iwagakure Village and Konoha Village, the Rain Village and the Iwagakure Village, the various parties are almost fighting each other to the point of their brains collapsing. However, at this time of war, the Hidden Mist Village, far away overseas, was peaceful. There was no smoke or fierce fighting here, and it seemed to be isolated from the disputes in the ninja world. During this period, the Otsutsuki clan, which currently only has 3 people including Kiyoshi, has also become another low-key ninja clan in the Hidden Mist Village. Otsutsuki Tenshin joined the Anbu at Kiyoshi's instructions, replacing Yagura, who had become the Three Tails Jinchuriki and was not suitable to continue staying in the Anbu, and became the captain of the first team. And Otsutsuki Gara will temporarily stay with Kiyoshi, responsible for helping Kiyoshi deal with some trivial matters. During this rare period of peace, Kingxie went to the Mizukage's office in the Mizukage building every day to discuss the government affairs of the Hidden Mist Village with the third Mizukage Bing. At night, he returned home and continued to consolidate the basics of ninja for the three little ones, and also taught the three little ones many interesting ninjutsu as they were extremely talented. After teaching the three little ones, it was time for Kingji to practice himself. However, Kingji didn't have much to practice now. As a member of the Otsutsuki clan, after awakening the Samsara Eye, he only needed to continue to refine his Otsutsuki bloodline step by step and wait for the second and third fetal movements to be completed. His strength would naturally improve. As for the bloodline network, it is not within the scope of Kingsee's training. After all, he has a small 10 tails of his own. As long as his plans go smoothly in the future, he successfully plants the sacred tree, produces chakra fruits, and then eats them, he will naturally obtain the Rin-Egan and the bloodline network. However, he still has areas that need improvement. At least, he is not yet able to use yin-yang release to quickly and in large quantities produce black rods and Great Box 10 as well as his Heike Otsutsuki. Therefore, in the next period of time, Kingsee's goal is to improve his yin-yang release ability by continuously producing yin-yang release creations. By the way, he can also increase the number of yin-yang release creations such as black rods and Great Box 10 stored in the Takamagahara space. Moreover, these can also greatly enhance his combat effectiveness. You know, there are only more than 10 black sticks and only 6 big box-shaped swords. For Kyoji, whose current level of eye skills is basically the same as Otsutsuki Heike, it is far from enough. Not to mention, Otsutsuki Heike has several good moves that require enough black sticks and big box-shaped swords to use. Time passed quickly, and soon it was October of the 36th year of Kirigakure. The Ninja World War had been going on for more than 2 years. On the morning of the 18th, Kyoji was discussing the reform of the ninja school with the third Mizukage Bing in the Mizukage's office. With the collection obtained on the moon, plus some of the sea-level ninjutsu of various attributes that Kyoji took out after streamlining and optimizing it, as well as special perception ninjutsu, medical ninjutsu, and sealing techniques, the Hidden Mist Village no longer needed to continue to implement the Blood Mist policy that was born in a special period only to train elite ninjas to enhance the high-end combat power of the Hidden Mist Village. After all, with sufficient resources, the quality of the new generation of ninjas in the Hidden Mist Village can be generally improved. Every ninja who is trained and selected through the new system and successfully graduates is enough to rival Konoha, which has the strongest ninja quality among the 5 major ninja villages. Of course, this is also because the thinking of the third Mizukage Bing has gradually changed in recent years, and Kingsea can be regarded as the perfect candidate for Mizukage in Bing's mind. Otherwise, if things continue to develop normally, the Blood Mist policy of the Hidden Mist Village will only get worse and worse, and eventually one day the Hidden Mist Village's combat power will be disrupted, and it will never recover. Chapter 212. Suddenly, a figure appeared in the Mizukage's office. Lord Mizukage. Lord Seiji. The man who came was none other than the holder of the great sword Samehada among the 7 ninja swordsmen, the Watermelon Mountain Puffer Demon. He was holding a scroll in his hand. Kaguya Kaze sent a telegram. Read it. Bing said lightly, signaling the Watermelon Mountain Puffer Ghost to read out the information. When Kingsea heard this name, his heart moved. He vaguely felt that Kaguya Musashi was about to take some action. After all, Kaguya has a chakra radio given by Seiji, and Seiji has also told Anbu Chief Ken before that if there is a telegram from Kaguya, he or Bing should be notified as soon as possible. As for why it was not sent directly to Kingsea but received and forwarded by the Anbu, the reason is actually very simple. Although the energy used by the telegraph machine is chakra, it still has to follow a basic operating mechanism. Kingsea can't carry a chakra radio with him and keep it turned on all the time to ensure that he can receive messages at any time. Therefore, in order to use this novel and extremely useful gadget, the Anbu has specially set up a communications team that can receive various telegraph messages at any time. As for the original Ninja Eagle message, it has basically withdrawn from the stage of history in the Hidden Mist Village. Kaguya Musashi has learned through some channel that the third Mizukage and Seiji are about to set off for the capital of the Water Kingdom to meet with the daimyo. Therefore, Kaguya Musashi decided to ambush on the way to the capital, intending to kill Mizukage and Seiji in one fell swoop. Ziguishan summarized the telegram sent by Kaguya Feng in a concise manner, and told Bing and Seiji about Kaguya Musashi's plan as stated in Kaguya Feng's telegram. Bing and Kingsea were not surprised to hear this, because this was just a game. Before Kyoji officially succeeds to the position of Mizukage, he must remove the time bomb of the Hyuga clan that is already going further and further on the road to rebellion. However, after waiting for a long time, there was no definite news from Kaguya Fu that Kaguya Musashi was preparing to launch a coup, so Bing and Kingsea took the opportunity of going to the capital of the Water Country to meet the daimyo of the Water Country together, and deliberately released information to give Kaguya Musashi ample opportunity to act. If it was just for convenience, Kyoshi could have used the eye technique Takamagahara to take the third Mizukage Bing directly to the capital. As the center of the entire Water Kingdom, there would of course be the eye power marks left by Kyoshi. Since the first Hokage, Hashirama Senju, created the ninja village era, although the ninjas were only nominally under the jurisdiction of the daimyo, after all, the ninjas of this era were not productive, so the appointment of the Kage, as the leader of a village, required the consent of the daimyo who controlled the most important money and materials. Therefore, at this juncture when Kyoshi is about to become the fourth Mizukage Bing, and Kyoshi's trip to the capital of the Water Kingdom does not seem abrupt. And sure enough, Kagaya Musashi couldn't resist this fatal temptation, and he decided to take action. As long as he could kill the third Mizukage Bing and the Mizukage successor, Kingxi, then no one else in the Hidden Mist Village could stop him from becoming the fourth Mizukage. After all, in his opinion, at that time, there was only one Kage-level strongman in the Hidden Mist Village, and even the elder Yuanshi could not stop him. The Hidden Mist Village needed a powerful ninja leader, and who else could be the Mizukage? Moreover, although he was confident that he, together with the black and white Yin-Yang Ranjua and the many elite members of the Hyuga clan, could easily deal with the old and seriously injured third Mizukage Bing, as well as Siji, who had defeated the third Kazekage Tisha but was still at the Kage level. But just in case, Kagaya Musashi spent a large sum of money to specially invite the strongest bounty hunter with the strength of a Kage, Kakuzu, who is known as the Immortal Ninja. 3 Kage-level warriors, plus a group of Kagaya clan Jonin and elite Jonin who are loyal to Kagaya Musashi, are going to deal with 2 Kage-level warriors, Bing and Siji, plus the guards that the two may bring with them. Kagaya Musashi believes that this is a foolproof plan and that he respects them enough. Ching Si pondered for a moment, then said to the third Mizukage Bing, "It seems that my uncle is moved. Then let's proceed according to the plan." "Okay. Let's follow the plan." Bing nodded, and then instructed Zigwashan Puffer Ghost with a hint of ruthlessness in his tone, "Go back and tell Jian to wait for notification at any time. Once we start fighting, he will immediately cooperate with Kagaya Feng and kill all the people in the Kagaya clan who should be killed. By the way, Zigwashan, the day after tomorrow you and Tonko will follow me and Lord Mizukage to the capital. The rest of the ninja swordsmen will follow Ken." Kingxi added. "Yes." Zigwashan Puffer Ghost responded respectfully, and then disappeared in an instant. He wanted to rush back to the Anbu headquarters to convey Bing and Kingxi's orders to Anbu Chongjian and the other ninja swordsmen. At this time, Kagaya Musashi was still dreaming of becoming the fourth Mizukage and leading the Hidden Mist Village to dominate the ninja world, and he did not realize that his information and the information given by Black Zetsu were all wrong. Now Siji is no longer at the level of Kage. And the third Mizukage Bing's injury has been completely healed. On the other hand, Kingxi and Bing also did not expect that Kagaya Musashi actually had 2 external aides, Kakuzu and the black and white Yin-Yang Renzi. They thought that this ambush only involved Kagaya Musashi and the Kagaya people loyal to him. After all, Kagaya Musashi did not reveal this highly confidential information to anyone, so Kagaya Fu did not know about this news. But even if Kingxi knew, he probably wouldn't care. For him now, defeating Kagaya Musashi might only require one move. Chapter 213. 2 days later. The third Mizukage Bing and Kingxi, with the Zigwashan Puffer Demon and Tonko Bait Man as their guards, began to march towards the capital of the Water Kingdom. At noon, the group of 4 were already some distance away from the Hidden Mist Village. At this moment, they were constantly and rapidly shuttling through a dark and dense forest. Suddenly, Kingxi's eyes quietly changed into pure eyes, and at the same time, a smile flashed across the corners of his mouth like Bing beside him. The fish has taken the bait. Fire style, head hard work. Wind style, suppress. Lightning release, pseudo darkness. Combined ninjutsu, final shot. Along with a violent chakra fluctuation, an extremely terrifying chakra cannon that mixed fire, wind, and lightning escape attacks the 4 people who are moving from a very far distance. Kakuzu made the first move and used his ultimate right at the start. However, Bing and Kingxi, who had strong perception abilities, had already discovered Kakuzu before he was about to take action, and gave secret signals to the Zigwashan Pufferfish Demon and Tonka Wild Bait Man nearby, so they were not in any panic. Kingxi sped up and instantly came to the front of the team. He bit his finger and then quickly formed a seal. The art of spiritual communication. Third uncle is here to repair the door. 3 huge iron gates with evil spirits carved on them suddenly rose up in front, blocking the path of the chakra cannon. At the same time, the third Mizukage Bing, Ziguishan Pufferfish Demon, and Tongkwa Yebaran also dispersed and prepared for the upcoming battle. Boom! Kakuzu's chakra cannon instantly broke the first Rashomon, and then after a stalemate with the second Rashomon for a moment, it was finally blocked by the third Rashomon. A huge roar echoed throughout the dense forest, and thick smoke and dust immediately dispersed. The moment Rashomon disappeared into white smoke, Kingxi soared into the air and shouted, "Lord Mizukage! Watermelon Mountain!" Kingxi flew directly towards Kagaya Musashi, whose position had been locked by his pure eye. The smoke and dust could not block the pure eye's vision at all. Revenge should be taken personally. When Bing and Ziguishan Puffer Ghost heard Kingxi's cry, they started to make seals with their hands. Water style, Damaixi Yuha! Water style, Damaixi Yuha! A massive flood was created by the two of them in an instant, and soon the entire dense forest was turned into an ocean of land under the impact of the combined force of the water waves, with trees broken in half by the huge impact force floating everywhere. The third Mizukage Bing stood calmly on the water, watching the ninjas lying in ambush all around frantically dealing with the impact of the water burst, and continued to change the seals in his hands. A bunch of little Karami actually dared to kill the Mizukage, then all of them should stay. At the same time, Bing ordered the grass wild bait man beside him, "Send a message to Jian. Tell them to act according to the plan immediately." Yes. Tongko Yebaran took out the chakra radio from the sealed scroll and sent the message back to the village. Then, according to the plan, he and Ziguishan Puffer Ghost quickly chased in the direction of Kingxi. Ice escape, extreme cold storm. With the help of the accumulated water on the ground, Bing used a killing move and instantly cleared out the wandering ninjas who were hired by Kagaya Musashi to make up the numbers nearby. At this time, Kakuzu also arrived, and his right fist, hardened by the earth escape technique, detached from the wrist and hit Bing directly in the face. Tentacle fist. Bing was smashed directly into pieces by Kakuzu's tentacle fist, but there was no joy on Kakuzu's face. He knew that this was just an ice clone of Bing. The immortal ninja Kakuzu? Kagaya Musashi really has a good helper. Bing's figure appeared in another place, confronting Kakuzu with a stern face, muttering in his mouth. He instantly recognized Kakuzu's identity. This rebel ninja from Kirigakure village who had a great reputation in the underground gold exchange was not an easy character to deal with. However, as the Mizukage, he was not afraid at all. On the other side, Kingxi was almost approaching Kagaya Musashi. When enemies meet, they are extremely jealous of each other. Seeing that revenge is about to be achieved, Kingxi no longer needs to control his murderous intent like he did before in the village. The murderous aura in his body surged towards Kagaya Musashi. At this time, Kagaya Musashi also discovered Cg who was approaching rapidly in the air. His pupils could not help but shrink. This fish that escaped the net back then actually still had the ability to fly. Kagaya Musashi! Kingxi shouted, like a meteor across the sky, and slammed into Kagaya Musashi. Kingxi didn't want to use any ninjutsu or eye techniques at all. The fire of hatred was burning in Kingxi's heart. At this moment, he just wanted to have a hearty close combat with the enemy in front of him. Seeing this, Kagaya Musashi was secretly delighted. As expected, this young boy was so young that he actually gave up his advantage of flying and challenged him in close combat. Kagaya Musashi, who has ambition but no vision and incomplete information, has not yet realized the seriousness of the matter and is still extremely confident. He does not think that Cg, who is not even 20 years old, can surpass him, the Kagaya clan leader who is at the peak of his power, in the level of control over the corpse bone veins. The Hyuga clan. No one knows the corpse bone veins better than him. So, he also roared angrily, and the bone spur instantly broke out of his body and faced Kingxi head-on. Shakebone pulse dance of Karamatsu. Kaka. There was a crisp sound of broken bones, and Kingxi's extremely powerful punch directly broke the bone spur on Kagaya Musashi's chest before he could react, and hit him heavily in the chest. Kagaya Musashi spurted blood and flew backwards, being knocked hundreds of meters away, and then fell heavily to the ground. He was stunned by Kingxi's punch. He didn't expect that his corpse bone veins defense would be so vulnerable to Kingxi. Kagaya Musashi, who was blinded by ambition, suddenly regained a bit of clarity at this moment. He realized that the development of things seemed to have gone out of his control, and that he might not be a match for Kyoji if he fought alone. Kagaya Musashi coughed up a large mouthful of blood again and crawled up from the ground with difficulty. The die-hard members of the Kagaya clan who had followed Kagaya Musashi to ambush saw that their invincible clan leader was severely injured right at the beginning, and they howled and mustered up the courage to rush towards Kiyoshi. At this time, Zigwashan Pufferfish Ghost and Tonko Yebaran also arrived, and they stepped forward to help Kingxi stop the rebellious ninjas of the Hyaga clan. Chapter 214. Kingxi floated up again, looking down at Kagaya Musashi, and said calmly, "Come out." The guy hiding underground. The black and white yin and yang man, when Kingxi finished speaking, slowly emerged from the ground beside Kagaya Musashi. At the same time, a tentacle-like thing stretched out from the white half of its body, connected to Kagaya Musashi, and quickly recovered from his injuries. Black Zetsu. Kingxi whispered to himself. No wonder Kagaya Musashi had the confidence to ambush him in the third Mizukage Bing. Apart from the bounty hunter Kakuzu, it turned out that this Black Zetsu and Kagaya Musashi were involved. It seems that he is the one behind all this. Murderous intent flashed across Kingxi's eyes. You let me escape last time in the Rain Country, so this time you stay. It's not necessary to kill him. After all, he is the product of Kagaya Otsutsuki's yin-yang release, and it contains Kagaya Otsutsuki's will. He will not kill Black Zetsu before he figures out the relationship between himself and Kagaya. But it is impossible to let Black Zetsu go just like that. He is plotting against him and the hidden mist village behind his back, which makes Kingxi very unhappy. So the best way is to use yin-yang escape to control him and then throw him into the Takamaji Ehara space. Looking at Kingxi, who was emitting murderous aura, Black Zetsu, as the leader of the black and white yin and yang, now had the intention of retreating. He is not like Kagaya Musashi, who is blinded by his own ambitions and can no longer see the situation clearly. As the 1,000-year-old silver coin and the mastermind behind the ninja world, Black Zetsu has now realized that he and Kagaya Musashi have fallen into a conspiracy on the part of Kirigakure. This ambush was actually an opportunity deliberately set for them by the third Mizukage Bing and Kingxi. Their plan had long been seen through by the other party. Moreover, looking at CG floating in the air, Black Zetsu's heart had completely sunk. This ability was not unfamiliar to him. This was not a ninjutsu similar to the super aggravated rock technique of the second Tsutsuki Mu and the third Tsutsuki Onoki, but a natural flying ability that was born when the blood of the Otsutsuki clan reached a certain level. So, this is just a test. No matter whether the person in front of him is Kagaya CG or Otsutsuki CG, at least Black Zetsu can be sure that it is the current CG. At least in terms of bloodline, he has caught up with his two traitorous brothers, Otsutsuki Hago Romo and Otsutsuki Hamura. He is now a real Otsutsuki. Therefore, if Black Zetsu had not sensed that he had been firmly locked by CG, he would have given up on Kagaya Musashi and retreated directly. He urgently needed to go back and think carefully about what to do next. After all, CG, who had been confirmed by him to be an Otsutsuki, must have mastered yin-yang release. And as someone who was created by Otsutsuki Kagaya using yin-yang release before she was sealed, only the same yin-yang release can control him. Therefore, Black Zetsu did not dare to gamble whether he could escape successfully. He still had to continue his plan to save his mother, so how could he be caught here? Soon, Kagaya Musashi recovered and glanced at the black and white hermaphrodite beside him. He felt that he was able to do it again. Although Kagaya Musashi at this time already knew that Seiji's strength was beyond his imagination, in his poor and limited knowledge, he was at most at the level of Kage. As long as he was still at the level of Kage, Kagaya Musashi was confident that he and Ju together could definitely defeat Seiji. 2-1, the advantage is on me. Kagaya Musashi thought. Kingxi slowly landed on the ground and spoke softly to Kagaya Musashi, but there was an indelible murderous intent in his tone. Are you ready? The game begins. Kagaya Musashi was furious after hearing this. How dare this little bastard? As the patriarch of the Kagaya clan, he had been high and mighty for more than 10 years, and no one had dared to speak to him like this for a long time. Shoo! Let's attack together. Kill him first. Kagaya Musashi said fiercely. In order to achieve his position as the fourth Mizukage, he must kill both Seiji and the third Mizukage Bing here. Black Zetsu was speechless at this point. This Kagaya Musashi was simply useless. Although he was considered a relatively normal person in the Kagaya clan, he still failed to see the current situation clearly. Your plan has been exposed, why don't you surrender quickly? What are you thinking? It's obvious that he has enough confidence to suppress you, not to mention that this is a real Otsutsuki. However, Black Zetsu still had to take action, but his purpose was not to help Kagaya Musashi kill Kiyoshi. On the contrary, the moment he saw that Kiyoshi could float in the air, the friendship between Black Zetsu and Kagaya Musashi had already capsized. At this time, Black Zetsu only wanted Kagaya Musashi to attract King C's attention so that he would have a chance to escape quickly. Wood release, Great Forest Technique. Black Zetsu stomped his right foot hard on the ground and started with a powerful wood escape. Several wooden vines and branches broke out from the ground and wrapped around King C. Hat. King C sneered. Does this Black Zetsu look down on him so much? He didn't believe that Black Zetsu couldn't see that he was already a real Otsutsuki, and even though he knew he was an Otsutsuki, he still dared to use such a weak jutsu. However, Kiyoshi was not surprised by wood release. Wood release is essentially the power passed down from the sacred tree. And White Zetsu, who was created by the power of the sacred tree, with the assistance of Black Zetsu, it is reasonable that he can use wood release. King C casually punched and dispersed the vines that spread in front of him, then tapped his toes and flew towards the black and white hermaphrodite at a high speed. Kagaya Musashi couldn't escape, so he had to deal with Black Zetsu first. When Black Zetsu saw Kiyoshi rushing towards him, his already dark face became even darker. He knew very well what Kiyoshi was trying to do, so he hurriedly urged Kagaya Musashi beside him to take action quickly. Kagaya Musashi does not have the reckless attribute of other Kagaya members. He can be said to be a scheming and gloomy person. But at the same time, he is also a ruthless person. He is ruthless to others and even more ruthless to himself. What's more, at this moment, he has no choice. If he doesn't kill King C, everything will be in vain. Therefore, he did not hesitate to use the secret or forbidden technique of the Kagaya clan. As long as he could kill King C quickly, he could afford the small price. Corpse Vein Burning Blood Technique. The Kagaya bloodline in Kagaya Musashi's body instantly burned, and his aura rose to a terrifying level in an instant. His strength, which was not weak among the cage level, was now infinitely close to the super cage level. Of course, it's still not good enough in front of King C. Chapter 215. Looking at Kagaya Musashi, who performed the blood-burning technique and was heading towards him, King G's expression did not change at all. He was only at the limit of cage level strength. Although he had a little bit of strength, it was not much, so it was not a big problem. Takamagahara. During the flight, King C's right pure eye lit up, and a large box appeared silently above Heizetsu, and then fell down with a loud bang. Although the great box sky created by Yin-Yang Escape has the function of blocking perception, Black Zetsu, as a creation of Yin-Yang Escape, still keenly sensed something wrong. And when he heard the sound of breaking through the air caused by the extremely fast fall, he immediately thought that something was not good, so Black Zetsu clasped his hands together, clasped them tightly, and his chakra suddenly burst out. Wooden release, the birth of the tree realm. A sea of trees appeared in an instant, blocking the falling Daxiation. Then Black Zetsu quickly changed his position, preparing to find an opportunity to escape. Seeing that Oisha Ten's attack missed and failed to subdue Black Zetsu, King C didn't care and prepared to deal with Kagaya Musashi, who had already rushed forward. Corpse Vein Chun Dance. Kagaya Musashi was like a wild bull, exuding a compelling aura. She pulled out an entire arm bone from her shoulder and turned it into a bone knife. Then she jumped up, blocked CG, who was flying towards Black Zetsu, and chopped him down with the knife. King G also pulled out a bone blade from his shoulder and easily blocked Kagaya Musashi's attack. Then he turned his body and kicked Kagaya Musashi, forcing her back, while flipping over and landing gracefully on the ground. He stretched his body forward with both hands, one hand pointed at Kagaya Musashi and the other at Black Zetsu. Corpse Bone Vein, 10 fingers piercing bullets. Countless white bone bullets shot towards the two of them like a rainstorm. Kagaya Musashi was helpless. King C's speed was faster than he expected. Before he could adjust his body, a new round of attacks came, so he had to use the instant body movement technique to dodge. Black Zetsu was not feeling well either. Kagaya Musashi, that useless guy, couldn't even stop him. How could he run? Therefore, Black Zetsu had to give up the idea of escaping for the time being and defend himself first. Wood release tree boundary wall. Wooden vines grew out quickly, forming a shield in front of Heizetsu. Bone bullets hit the wall of the tree world, splashing up pieces of flying wood chips. However, King C's attack was not over yet. After performing the 10 fingers piercing bullet technique, King C's eyes instantly switched to the Samsara Eye. His right hand, which was originally stretched forward, opened its 5 fingers and aimed at Kagaya Musashi, who was moving at high speed to dodge. All things are attracted by heaven. A huge gravitational force suddenly appeared, forcibly pulling the moving Kagaya Musashi towards Kingsee's position. Kagaya Musashi was shocked. What kind of strange ability was this? He stretched his right hand to his back and quickly pulled out the spine. Corpse vein, dance of the wire flower. Vines. Kagaya Musashi swung the bone whip in his hand and tightly wrapped it around a thick tree created by the birth of the tree world, trying to control his body and forcibly resist the gravity emitted by Kingsea. Seeing this, Kingsea immediately increased his chakra output. The trunk of the tree that was entangled by the iron wire flower bone whip began to slowly bend, and Kagaya Musashi's body began to move towards Kingsea again. Shoo! Kagaya Musashi shouted loudly. He needed his teammates to help him out. Black Zetsu was so shocked that he couldn't express it in words. It had only been a short time, but Seiji's unknown eyes had evolved into the same samsara eye as Otsutsuki Hamura. He had also mastered the Tensyang Tenyen move, and he probably even mastered the Shinra Tensei. There was definitely something wrong with this kid. Black Zetsu was screaming madly in his heart. Black Zetsu, awakened by Kagaya Musashi's call, finally came to his senses. The most urgent thing was to attack together with Kagaya Musashi, and then find an opportunity to escape quickly. So he used Wood Release again and attacked Kingsea, trying to attack Wei from the rear. Wood Release, cutting technique. A thick wooden giant hand emerged from the ground, and then dense wooden thorns grew out of the giant hand and shot towards Kingsea. Tisk! Kingsea's expression changed and his brows furrowed slightly. This insertion technique cannot be taken head-on. It would be troublesome if it was stabbed into the body. So he gave up the idea of continuing to suck Kagaya Musashi over, and switched the gravity to repulsion, and blasted hard in the direction of Kagaya Musashi. Shinra Tenzen. The powerful repulsive force exploded forward with Kingsea as the center, pushing Kagaya Musashi away while blocking Black Zetsu's penetration technique. Sure enough, the ability of repulsion has also been mastered. Black Zetsu said inwardly. The situation was getting worse and worse. At this time, Black Zetsu knew very well that he and Kagaya Musashi could never be a match for Seiji. Kingsea dodged and caught up with Kagaya Musashi, who was blown away by the repulsive force. He raised his left leg high, drew a crescent-like arc, and then slammed down heavily. The ground split instantly. A heavy kick landed heavily on Kagaya Musashi's abdomen from top to bottom. The ground was directly penetrated by the powerful impact, and Kagaya Musashi was instantly knocked deep into the ground by this powerful blow. Fortunately, Kagaya Musashi is a cage-level person with a strong physique and expertise in physical techniques. In addition, he also has the powerful defense granted by his bloodline limit, the corpse bone vein, and the strength forcibly increased by the blood-burning technique that burns his blood. This allowed him to barely block the fatal blow and not be killed directly. Kingsea didn't care about the result of this kick. He adjusted his posture and rushed towards Black Zetsu. He wanted to catch Black Zetsu first. At this time, the angry howl of Kagaya Musashi was heard from underground. He had fallen into madness after being beaten by Kingsea in various ways. He didn't believe that he, as the strongest of the Kagaya clan, would not be able to beat this little bastard who was just a brat in his eyes. Corpse vein dance of the early ferns. Violent chakra fluctuations came from underground, and countless sharp white bone spikes pierced through the ground and broke out of the earth, forming a huge forest of bones in an instant. Kingsea didn't care. He jumped up lightly and continued to fly towards Black Zetsu with determination. In his eyes, Kagaya Musashi was no longer a concern, but he couldn't let Black Zetsu run away again. But at this time, Kagaya Musashi emerged from a bone spur in front of the path that Kingsea had to pass, and her right hand had transformed into a huge bone drill. Corpse vein, dance of the wire flower. Flower. Kagaya Musashi aimed his right hand at Seiji and stabbed him hard. Kingsea looked at the attack that was so close to him without any panic. He switched his eyes back to his pure eyes and activated the pupil technique Shaoying Biguna, which shrunk himself directly and avoided the attack. Kagaya Musashi's attack missed, and he saw Seiji suddenly disappear in front of him, and his heart suddenly skipped a beat. But before he could use the bone spurs to move his position, Seiji used the eye technique Shayana Biguna again to restore his body to its original state, and then knocked Kagaya Musashi out with a punch. Chapter 216. Mahakala. Kingsea's right eye lit up slightly, and several black rods instantly penetrated into Kagaya Musashi's body, disrupting the flow of chakra in his body and nailing him to the ground. Upon seeing this, King C once again released a few black sticks and threw them at Kagaya Musashi. This time, the black sticks were aimed at several special acupuncture points in his body. Ugh! Ah! Kagaya Musashi cried out in pain, and her breath began to plummet instantly. The several acupuncture points where the yin-yang black stick was inserted blocked the continued use of the blood-burning technique, and the blood-burning technique was forcibly terminated. Afterwards, King C ignored the wailing of Kagaya Musashi, turned around and rushed towards the running Black Zetsu again. All this happened in just a short period of time, but it still gave Black Zetsu enough opportunity to escape. Moreover, with the speed of the mayfly technique, Black Zetsu had already moved thousands of meters underground at high speed. However, this is still within King C's perception range and the observation range of the pure eye or the samsara eye. Black Zetsu, who was trying to escape, was cursing Kagaya Musashi, his stupid teammate, in his heart. He was such a waste that he couldn't even delay for a few seconds. Sensing CG approaching at high speed from behind, Black Zetsu was about to collapse. He can't just fall into King C's hands. He still has to save his mother. But at this moment, he had no way to escape from King C's lock. You know, that was the same level of samsara eye. On another battlefield, Zigwashan Pufferfish Demon and Tongkwa Yebaran worked together to defeat many senior ninjas of the Hyuga clan. With the big sword Samehada that can heal injuries, Zigwashan Puffer Demon had a head-on man-to-man showdown with the reckless men of the Hyuga clan. The romantic fist-to-flesh fight made the reckless men of the Hyuga clan feel very satisfied. However, the reckless men of the Hyuga clan did not have a treasure like the great sword Samehada that could heal their injuries. Under the ruthless fighting style of Zigwashan Pufferfish Demon, which was to exchange injuries for injuries, and the fact that the great sword Samehada would occasionally cut off some of their chakra, their strength was constantly weakened as time passed, and their combat power was rapidly declining. As for Tongusa Yabaran, he was mainly responsible for assisting Zigwashan Puffer Ghost. The blunt knife, Duki, was a good knife specially used for breaking defense. Almost all the reckless men of the Hyuga clan were ninjas with strong bodies and proficient in physical techniques. The attacks of Zigwashan Puffer Ghost often could not break the defense, and after breaking the defense, they could not be fatal in one blow. Therefore, after becoming familiar with the fighting style of the Hyuga clan ninjas, Zigwashan Puffer Ghost and Tongusa Yabaran quickly began to cooperate with each other. The Zigwashan Puffer Ghost is responsible for weakening the opponent's combat effectiveness and creating various loopholes. The Tonka Wild Bait Man is responsible for breaking the defense and solving the opponent's problem with one final blow. As a result, the two men, who became more and more courageous as the battle went on, soon killed all of Kagaya Musashi's diehard ninjas. The two of them only paid the price of almost exhausting their chakra. Moreover, after this battle, Zigwashan Pufferfish Ghost and Tongusa Yebaran both felt that their strength had been improved. They must be able to become the new cage-level powerhouses of the Hidden Mist Village after they recover. Moreover, they are the kind of cage-level powerhouses who do not need to rely on the blessing of the ninja sword, and their own strength can already reach that level. On the side of the third Mizu Cage Bing and Kakuzu, the two sides engaged in a thrilling and intense ninjutsu battle. Kakuzu released all of the four masks from his body, and used the 5 types of ninjutsu, namely Fire Jutsu, Wind Jutsu, Lightning Jutsu, Water Jutsu and Earth Jutsu, alternately and mixedly. He performed various ninjutsu at will as if they were free, and continuously bombarded the third Mizu Cage Bing. But the third Mizu Cage Bing doesn't care about your this escapade or that escapade. No matter how fancy you are, Kakuzu, I am a master of ice escapades. Kakuzu, who had been attacking for a long time but failed, gradually consumed more than half of his chakra. As he was hired by Kagaya Musashi for a large sum of money, he had already begun to consider retreating. The strength of the third Mizu Cage Bing, who had rarely taken action in the ninja world in recent years, exceeded his expectations. He did not expect that the third Mizu Cage Bing, who was already in old age and whose strength had begun to decline, still retained such a strong strength. Then, Bing seized a flaw of Kakuzu and, with the help of the magic mirror ice crystal, performed a super high-speed instant movement through the reflection of the mirror surface that took Kakuzu time to react. In an instant, he destroyed Kakuzu's 2 earth grudge masks of lightning and water styles, which were his 2 hearts. This made Kakuzu even more determined to leave. The reason he was able to survive in the ninja world for so long and earn the reputation of immortal ninja and man who lives as long as heaven and earth was because of his ability to judge the situation, or to be cautious. Whenever the battle situation was unfavorable, he would retreat in time, collect intelligence and then come again next time. If he hadn't still had a little sense of contract, and if Kagaya Musashi hadn't paid a large amount of money in advance, he might have retreated long ago. When Kakuzu sensed that his employer had been defeated, he instantly lost the will to continue fighting, so he took the initiative to expose his flaw to the third Mizukage Bing, and at the cost of another fire-style heart, he forcibly left the battlefield and ran away without looking back. In the Hidden Mist Village, when the Anbu Chankin received the telegram from Togasano Baito, he immediately took the other 4 ninja swordsmen who had been prepared, as well as an entire team of Anbu, and went to the Kagaya clan's territory. Biwachozo, Kurishen Kushimaru, Murashi Shinpeki, and Sato Kage stood at the 4 directions of the Hyuga clan's territory respectively, and the 4 purple flame formations of the barrier directly surrounded the entire Hyuga clan's territory. Afterwards, under the leadership of the 3rd elder of the Kagaya clan, Kagaya Kaze, the Anbu ninjas stormed into the Kagaya clan territory and killed all those Kagaya clan members who were loyal to Kagaya Musashi and had the idea of rebellion. The entire Hyuga clan territory was a river of blood. However, this was also the result of the Hyuga clan's own fault. After all, a rebellion and a coup would never be accepted in any ninja village. Even if the Hyuga clan was one of the 3 founding families of the Hidden Mist Village, it would not be acceptable. Chapter 217. In the end, the Kagaya clan that wanted to make administrative changes had only less than 30 clan members left who had not collaborated with Kagaya Musashi, and most of them were children and the elderly. There were very few young and strong ninjas, and there was only the 3rd elder Kagaya who had the strength above the rank of Jonin. The Kagaya clan, one of the 3 great families that founded the Hidden Mist Village and was once glorious, is now left with only a shattered ruin of clan land and a few cats and kittens. And all this was because of Kagaya Musashi's ambition and his disproportionate strength. He tried to use the power of a family to fight against an entire powerful ninja village. If it weren't for the timely rebellion of the 3rd elder Kagaya, once Kagaya Musashi really launched a rebellion, the Kagaya clan would probably have disappeared in the history of the ninja world. All the ninjas of the Kagaya clan with the strength of Jonin and above, except Kagaya, followed Kagaya Musashi to ambush the 3rd Mizukage Bing and Cg and his group. Therefore, the entire team of Anbu ninjas who followed Jian achieved a record of 0 casualties without much effort. This was simply because the reckless men of the Hyuga clan, after realizing that their clan territory was surrounded by the 4 purple flame array barrier and they had lost hope of breaking out, used various suicide attacks in desperation to destroy the intact Hyuga clan territory. However, the more likely possibility is that the Hyuga clan, a bunch of brainless guys or guys whose brains are all muscles, have no intention of breaking out at all, but are just enjoying the crazy fun of fighting before they die. After all, for the Hyuga clan ninjas who never stop fighting and whose minds are filled with the word reckless, they may not even understand what a breakout means. The rebellion initiated by Kagaya Musashi was suppressed by the Hidden Mist Village with iron-blooded means and did not cause any waves. The battles on several battlefields ended almost simultaneously, except for Kingxi, who was still madly chasing Black Zetsu. You run. I chase you. You can't get away even if you have wings. Mayfly technique is a ninjutsu unique to White Zetsu that allows one to move at super high speeds with the help of plant roots and underground water currents, and does not produce any chakra aura during the movement. Therefore, in order to catch the black and white hermaphrodite who is escaping using the Mayfly technique, one must have a strong perception similar to the perspective effect to lock onto it from a distance, as well as an extremely high speed that can match its movement underground to ensure that he will not be thrown away. It just so happens that Kingxi has both of these qualities. Either the pure eye or the samsara eye can firmly lock onto the high-speed moving figure underground. The innate flying ability bestowed by the Otsutsuki bloodline can allow Kyoshi to move quickly in the air, ensuring that he will never be left behind by Black Zetsu. At this moment, Heiju was filled with regrets for the haunting Ching Si who was following him closely. Why did he sell this sword and provoke this evil star? He shouldn't have cooperated with this waste Kagaya Musashi. Moreover, when he saw that Cg could fly in the air, he should have retreated directly and given up on Kagaya Musashi, this stupid teammate, instead of jumping out to help Kagaya Musashi like a fool. What Black Zetsu regrets most now is that after he got the relevant information about Cg, he should have immediately asked White Zetsu to go back and tell Uchiha Madara. Wouldn't it be nice to let Uchiha Madara take action against Cg? You know, that's the Shura of the ninja world. Even the old version of the Shura of the ninja world, with the assistance of White Zetsu, can also exert the combat power of the Super Shadow level. After all, Uchiha Madara, who read the Uchiha slate that recorded the secrets of the 6 paths and was tampered with by him, also knew something about the meaning of the surname Otsutsuki. In fact, King C is in a dilemma now. The speed of this black and white yin and yang man moving underground is too fast. Even if he flies, he can barely keep up with his speed. Moreover, he currently has no good way to dig Black Zetsu out from underground. It's not that Kyoji couldn't force Black Zetsu out from underground, but whether it was the use of Earth Escape Ninjutsu or Chibaku Tensei, it would take time. In the short moment when the ninjutsu was launched, with Black Zetsu's speed, he would have surely escaped long ago. Otsutsuki Hamura can perform 6 paths Chibaku Tensei together with Otsutsuki Hago Romo, sealing Otsutsuki Kagaya, who has a complete 10 tails and is in good condition. It is hard to say that Hamura does not know the ordinary version of Chibaku Tensei. To be frank, Shinra Tensei, Tensei Tenin, Chibaku Tensei, are all applications of gravity and repulsion. The Samsara Eye and Rin Egan both have this ability. In theory, these techniques should all be masterable. Another one is the sealing technique of the Rin Egan Hungry Ghost Path absorbing chakra ability. The Rin Egan, which also has the ability to absorb chakra, should also be able to use it. As for the remaining abilities of the Rin Egan, namely the human realm, hell realm, Asura realm, and animal realm, the Samsara Eye should not possess them. In fact, if Black Zetsu had been hiding underground, although King C could find him, he would have no way to deal with him. After all, if the Mayfly technique was activated directly underground, there would be no pre-swing. But Black Zetsu lost his mind and emerged from underground by himself, which gave King C the opportunity to lock him down. As long as Black Zetsu dared to use the Mayfly technique to escape, King C would be able to catch him out from underground in the short period of time before he dived underground. However, it happened that it was this Kagaya Musashi who helped Black Zetsu, and the dance of early ferns under the blessing of the burning blood technique was something that even King C could not easily ignore, and was still dragged for a few seconds, which gave Black Zetsu a perfect opportunity to escape. In the few seconds that King C was blocked, Black Zetsu had already escaped thousands of meters away. After more than a dozen breaths, Black Zetsu, who was in desperation, finally recognized the reality and made up his mind. It seemed that if he didn't pay something today, he would not be able to escape. So, Black Zetsu decisively divided his entire body into 3 parts, merged into the spore clones just created by White Zetsu, and then fled in 3 different directions. 3 black and white yin and yang men who looked exactly the same in Jing's eyes suddenly appeared, causing King C, who was flying at high speed in the air, to be stunned for a moment. Then, he immediately reacted and decisively split into 2 shadow clones, and together with the original body, continued to hunt down Black Zetsu. Today, I'm going to defeat Black Zetsu. Even the 6-path sage can't stop him. I said it. Chapter 218. An hour later, King C still failed to completely detain Black Zetsu. The 2 shadow clones, under the high-intensity pursuit, became slower and slower as their chakra was constantly consumed. In the end, they were still able to escape by the 2 black and white yin and yang men. And one of the 2 black and white yin and yang men who escaped was the black and white yin and yang man formed by the combination of the white Zetsu body and the black Zetsu body. However, King C was not without gain. At this moment, he was calmly looking at the black and white yin-yang man in front of him who was unable to struggle and had been pierced all over by the yin-yang black sticks. Black Zetsu kept cursing incessantly, but King C had no intention of communicating with Black Zetsu. He had already discovered that the one in front of him was only 1/3 of Black Zetsu's body, so he waved his hand and directly separated this part of Black Zetsu's body from the spore clone of White Zetsu, and then threw it into the Takamaji-Ehara space with a time-stop effect. As the 1/3 of the body that Black Zetsu voluntarily abandoned, just stay quietly in the Takamaga-Hara space. It turned out that after Black Zetsu knew that he could not escape, he divided his body into 3 equal parts, and then asked White Zetsu to create 2 spore clones, creating 3 black and white hermaphrodites with the same aura, which were difficult to distinguish between the real and the fake. Although the body is divided equally, the main information is still retained in the main body part. The other 2 parts are simply parts of Black Zetsu's body and do not contain any information. Afterwards, the 3 basically indistinguishable black and white yin and yang men continued to flee in 3 directions, while the real bodies of the black and white yin and yang men mixed in and quietly changed the direction of their escape. Black Zetsu admitted that there was a gambling element in his plan. But now the results are obvious. He won the bet. However, Black Zetsu, who escaped successfully, had now discovered that he and the 1/3 of his body that was caught by King C had completely lost contact. Although Black Zetsu, who has lost one-third of his body, has no problem knowing the information and using his abilities, and can still continue to be the mastermind behind the ninja world and the founder of the ninja world. His strength or ability, such as the strength of mental possession and mental fusion, has been weakened a lot. Ching Si smiled helplessly. This Black Zetsu is really too hard to catch. I can only say that he is worthy of being the yin-yang escape creation of Kaguya Otsutsuki. After staying for a while to rest, King Si took off into the air again and returned to the location of the third Mizu Cage Bing. This chase, which almost spanned the entire Water Kingdom, finally came to an end. The third Mizu Cage Bing, who had finished the battle, was now standing at the place where Seiji, Kaguya Musashi, and Black Zetsu had just fought. He opened his tightly closed eyes and looked with a complicated expression at Kaguya Musashi, the leader of the Kaguya clan, who was nailed to the ground by Seiji and wailing not far away. Although Kaguya Musashi committed such a heinous act as assassinating the Mizukage and the Mizukage's successor, after all, they were comrades who fought together for the interests of the Hidden Mist village. Save me. Seeing the arrival of the third Mizukage Bing, Kaguya Musashi no longer cared about anything else and pleaded in pain. Bing took a deep look at the miserable-looking Kaguya Musashi and walked past him without any intention of paying any attention to him. Bing is not a good-tempered person, and he is not the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, and Kaguya Musashi is not the assistant Hokage Shimura Danzo. How could he let go of someone who dared to assassinate him? What's more, this is Seiji's enemy. It is impossible for him to deal with Kaguya Musashi without permission by bypassing Seiji, who has been designated as his successor and is about to take over as the fourth Mizukage. Not to mention, the yin-yang black rod inserted into Kaguya Musashi's body is still attached to Seiji's chakra, and he cannot move it easily. Soon, Bing came to the side of the Ziguishan Puffer Demon and the Tonka Wild Bait Man, and commanded them to clean up the battlefield and collect all the corpses of the Hyuga clan. The owners of these corpses were at least Jonin-level ninjas of the Hyuga clan when they were alive. They can be said to be excellent research materials for exploring the secrets of bloodline limits. Of course, Bing will definitely deal with these corpses after seeking King Si's opinion. The few of them waited together for quite some time, and Bing also took this opportunity to give some pointers to the Watermelon Mountain Puffer Ghost and the Tonka Wild Bait Man on the problems they encountered in their training. Finally, Ching Si, who had gone to hunt down Black Zetsu, came back. Lord Mizukage. King Si landed gracefully. How is it? Bing stood up and looked at King Si and asked. Although he didn't know what this black and white hermaphrodite was, he had seen the white Zetsu coat draped over Uchiha Madara's body. The aura belonging to white Zetsu was very familiar to Bing. Therefore, he could probably guess that this thing must be related to Uchiha Madara. Ching Si smiled helplessly, failed. He ran too fast. But it was also my carelessness. Next time we meet, he will definitely not be able to run away. Bing was a little disappointed when he heard this. After all, this was related to Uchiha Madara who had beaten him up before. However, he didn't say anything. After all, he didn't contribute much. He couldn't blame King Si for not catching the other party. But it's not a complete loss. Ching Si added, at least the opponent has given up one-third of his body. Although it's not very useful, it can be considered a slight weakening of him. Kyoshi still hasn't revealed the identity of Black Zetsu. White Zetsu doesn't care, as Bing, who has been to the moon, already has a certain understanding of him. But Black Zetsu is different. Before he figures out what kind of relationship exists between himself and Kaguya Otsutsuki, Kyoshi will not reveal any information about Black Zetsu to the outside world. Bing nodded, then turned his gaze to Kaguya Musashi, signaling King Si with his eyes, asking him how he wanted to deal with it. King Si did not say anything, but was silent for a moment, then slowly walked towards Kaguya Musashi who was in great pain not far away. The flame of revenge burned in his eyes as he stared at the enemy in front of him. A black chakra stick that was flashing with a cold light slipped out of his right hand. Chapter 219. Although the anger buried deep in King Ji's heart had been released somewhat in the previous battle, when he saw Kaguya Musashi again, King Ji still couldn't suppress his anger. King Si walked step by step to Kaguya Musashi, bent down, looked at him, and a hint of complexity flashed in the depths of his angry eyes. I was wrong. Kaguya Musashi twisted his body hard and begged King Si with difficulty. He still had unfinished business and couldn't die yet. Please, let me go. Blood continued to flow out from the wound, and Kaguya Musashi's breath became weaker and weaker. The black stick completely suppressed the self-healing ability given to him by the corpse bone vein. If this continued, it would not be long before Kagaya Musashi would die in pain due to the complete loss of blood in his body. Looking at Kagaya Musashi, who kept begging for mercy, the expression in Kingji's eyes kept changing. Kagaya Musashi saw that Kingji did not kill him immediately but hesitated, and suddenly felt that his hope of survival increased greatly, and he kept begging desperately. "Kiji! Let me go!" Kagaya Musashi said intermittently. "How can you say? I am also your uncle." It would have been better if Kagaya Musashi hadn't said this, but the fact that he addressed him as uncle instantly angered Seiji, whose anger had gradually calmed down. "Is that human language? When you were trying to survive, you were my uncle. So when you were persecuting my family, why didn't you think about the fact that you were my uncle?" Kingsi could no longer hold back the murderous intent surging in his heart, and stabbed the black stick straight into Kagaya Musashi's abdomen. "Ah!" Kagaya Musashi screamed, and intense pain spread throughout her body in an instant. Seiji's angry blow directly pierced Kagaya Musashi's abdomen. Immediately afterwards, Kingsi did not give Kagaya Musashi any time to breathe, and the yin-yang black stick in his hand continued to poke at various parts of Kagaya Musashi's body frantically. However, Kingsi was still measured in his attacks. With the help of his pure eyes that had the ability to see through the human body, every insertion of the yin-yang black rod accurately avoided the vital parts of Kagaya Musashi's body, only making his pain worse but not killing him immediately. Even fainting from the pain was a luxury. "Awaha! Awaha! Awaha!" Kagaya Musashi gasped heavily, trying to divert the boundless pain in this way. At this moment, he no longer hoped to continue living, and only asked Kingsi to give him a quick death. After venting, Kingsi's heart calmed down again, but he was still hesitating in his heart. After all, he was his own blood relative. In his heart, Kingsi was unwilling to bear the name of parasite and kill Kagaya Musashi, even though Kagaya Musashi had never thought about the brotherhood with his father Kagaya Genji. Even though, parasite was not uncommon in the deformed world of the ninja world. Finally, Kingji made up his mind. He ignored Kagaya Musashi's screams of pain and slowly closed his eyes. When his eyes opened again, they had transformed into the Rin-Egan that shone with sky blue light. Under Kingsi's control, a large amount of pupil power continued to gather in the Rin-Egan. At the same time, Kingsi's right hand also glowed with a dazzling green light. A chakra ball shining with green light appeared in Kingji's hand. Then, without any hesitation, Kingji inserted the chakra ball in his right hand directly into Kagaya Musashi's chest. Then, Seiji took back the yin-yang black rods that were inserted into various parts of Kagaya Musashi's body, used the eye technique Xiaoming Biguna to shrink the black rods again, and put them back into the Takamaji Ahara space. The green chakra ball that penetrated into Kagaya Musashi's body was condensed by Kingji using a large amount of pupil power and chakra through the medium of the Rin-Egan. It was the best that Kingji could do at this stage. The moment it entered Kagaya Musashi's body, it firmly suppressed Kagaya Musashi's consciousness, making him unable to resist. This powerful force was like a solid dam, locking his will firmly in the darkness and making it impossible for him to break free. At the same time, the yang-style chakra contained in the chakra ball began to slowly release. These warm and vital chakras were as gentle as a spring breeze, quickly penetrating into every cell and tissue of Kagaya Musashi, repairing his injuries. Whether it was broken bones or damaged muscles, they were all healed at an astonishing speed under the nourishment of the yang-style chakra. After a while, Kagaya Musashi's injuries were mostly healed, and she also regained her ability to move. He slowly got up from the ground, his body still shaky, but his eyes were lifeless. He bowed his head slightly to Ching Si respectfully. "Sir." Kingsi looked at Kagaya Musashi, who was expressionless and had a hollow look in his eyes, as if he had become a different person. The sky blue light of the samsara eye in his eyes gradually dissipated, and he nodded with satisfaction. Otsutsuki Hamura was not lying to me. The ability of the samsara eye, called Spirit Ball, is so useful. Yes, Seiji did not kill Kagaya Musashi after all, but chose to use the power of the Rin-Egan to turn Kagaya Musashi into a living puppet controlled by him. Although this was not enough to appease Kingsi's hatred, nor was it enough to pay for the sins committed by Kagaya Musashi against his family, this kind of punishment of being controlled by others and living a life worse than death was also a way to vent his anger. What's more, Kiyoshi is planning to resurrect his father Kagaya Genji from the Pure Land one day in the future, so that he can personally settle accounts with his good brother. Moreover, at the moment, Kingsi really needs such a puppet to help him travel around the ninja world and find Uchiha Madara. You know, he still has a score to settle with Uchiha Madara. Kagaya Musashi, who has turned into a puppet, can be said to be the best tool to find Uchiha Madara. Once the Rinnegan chakra in his body senses the breath of the outer path demon statue or Uchiha Madara, it will immediately transmit the information to Kingsi. Therefore, even if Kagaya Musashi was killed by Uchiha Madara, Kingsi would not feel distressed at all. After all, being able to survive for a while longer is already a great blessing for Kagaya Musashi. Of course, Kyoji must have left a backup plan in Kagaya Musashi's body. Once Kagaya Musashi escapes from Kyoji's control, the Rinnegan chakra that has been integrated into his body will be detonated immediately, allowing Kagaya Musashi to go directly to see the Six-Path Sage. However, Kingji is very confident that there should be no ninja in the current ninja world who can remove the control of the Rinnegan on Kagaya Musashi. You know, his Rinnegan is of a higher level than the ordinary Rinnegan, even if it only completes a fetal movement. Therefore, only a Megatama Rinnegan of the same level as his Rinnegan could forcibly force Kagaya Musashi to escape from his control. Chapter 220. Through the Rinnegan, CG ordered Kagaya Musashi to search the ninja world for the aura that could cause the Rinnegan's chakra to move abnormally, and then waved his hand to let him leave. Next, all he had to do was wait quietly, waiting for Kagaya Musashi to find the trace of Uchiha Madara. And the moment the outer path statue or Uchiha Madara is discovered, the mission of the puppet Kagaya Musashi will be over. Does Kingji just need a hiding place for Uchiha Madara? As for whether Kagaya Musashi can survive in Uchiha Madara's hands, let him leave it to fate. The third Mizukage Bing was watching not far away. When he saw that although Kingsi finally chose to let Kagaya Musashi go, he used the power of the Samsara Eye to turn her into a controlled puppet, a faint smile could not help but appear on the corner of his mouth. Sure enough, the choice of successor was not wrong at all. Not killing someone represented that CG still had a bottom line, and turning Kagaya Musashi into a puppet represented Seiji's ruthlessness towards the enemy. From Bing's perspective as a Mizukage for many years, this was the best way to deal with it. At the same time, he also believed that CG would definitely become the greatest Mizukage in the history of Kirigakure. Let's go. Kingsi let out a light breath and walked towards Bing, Zigwashan Puffer Ghost and Tonka Wild Bait Man who were waiting for him not far away. With his revenge accomplished, the haze that had been weighing on his heart was gone in one day, and Kingsi felt vaguely relieved, as if his soul had been sublimated. The Land of Frost, the Mountain Cemetery, and Uchiha Madara's underground base. The real body of White Zetsu, who had fled from the water country in a panic with Black Zetsu, slowly emerged from the underground cave. Black Zetsu, who had lost 1/3 of his body, was hiding somewhere at this moment, secretly licking his inner wounds. The White Zetsu was assigned by him to reveal the relevant information about CG to Uchiha Madara. After all, this was also the task given by Uchiha Madara to the White Zetsu. Lord Madara. White Zetsu's true form called softly. What's the matter? An old and domineering voice came from under the outer path demon statue, and Uchiha Madara was awakened from his slumber. The identity of the Kirigakure ninja has been investigated clearly, said the White Zetsu's original form with a bit of frivolity. Uchiha Madara was shocked when he regained consciousness. This was indeed good news. He was very curious about Kingsi who had ruined his operation last time. So, who is it? That Kirigakure ninja, his name is... After a short pause, White Zetsu continued, Otsutsuki. CG. Otsutsuki. Uchiha Madara was stunned for a moment. This surname was very unfamiliar to him, but he seemed to have heard or seen it somewhere. Uchiha Madara, who had just woken up from a beautiful dream of spending a good time with Senju Hashirama, was a little unresponsive for a while. But then, Uchiha Madara's pupils shrank unconsciously, and then his eyes turned scarlet, and the Sharingan emerged. He remembered where he had seen the name Otsutsuki. The gathering place of the Uchiha clan, under the Nanga shrine, the Uchiha stone tablet that was passed down from generation to generation by the Uchiha clan and was left by the Six-Path Sage himself. Otsutsuki is the surname of the Six-Path Sage. Uchiha Madara stood up and instantly appeared in front of White Zetsu's body, staring at him with his scarlet Sharingan. Tell me in detail. Tell me all the information that White Zetsu has found. Uchiha Madara's tone revealed a hint of solemnity. When they were fighting, he felt that something was wrong with Kingsi, with the corpse bone vein and the unknown eye technique, but he didn't expect that he had the same surname as the Six-Path Sage. Uchihamadara didn't think that anyone would abuse the Otsutsuki family name, which had almost disappeared in the history of the ninja world. Moreover, he also had a feeling that Seiji would become a huge obstacle to the implementation of his plan. It seems that this Kirigakure ninja named Otsutsuki Seiji, like Uchihamadara, also inherited the bloodline of the Six Paths, and is even stronger than Uchihamadara in some ways. After all, he uses the surname of the Sage of Six Paths, while Uchihamadara uses the surname passed down by the Sage of Six Paths' son. Uchihamadara, who has read the entire contents of the Uchiha stele, has already seen through the part of the truth about the ninja world that Black Zetsu allowed him to know, and he also realized that the ninja world is actually a world where blood is supreme, and those who can reach the ceiling of combat power all have the blood of the Six Paths. Therefore, he quickly filled in his mind what he believed to be Seiji's true identity. In Uchihamadara's knowledge, only the Senju clan, the Uchiha clan and the Uzumaki clan are the descendant families that inherited the bloodline of the Six Paths Sage. After all, in the records handed down in the ninja world, there have only been legends of the goddess of the rabbit and the Six Paths Sage, but there is no record that the Six Paths Sage has a younger brother, that is, Otsutsuki Hamura. Therefore, Uchihamadara had no idea that the Hyuga clan and the Kagaya clan were both descendants of the Otsutsuki clan. However, unlike the Senju, Uchiha, and Uzumaki, they are the descendants of the Six Paths Sage's younger brother, Otsutsuki Hamura. Therefore, Uchihamadara had a deviation in his understanding of Seiji. Kingsee's identity made Uchihamadara's long-dormant blood boil. After the death of Senju Hashirama, he had not met an opponent who made him excited for a long time. And now, in the eyes of Uchihamadara, Seiji, who has the surname Otsutsuki, has the hope of reaching the level of strength that he and Senju Hashirama once had. The last time they fought, this Kirigakure ninja named Otsutsuki Seiji could only flee in a panic before his complete form of Susanoo. Hopefully, the next time they meet, the opponent will be stronger and be able to please him. It allows him, the Shura of the ninja world and the Rose of the battlefield, Uchihamadara, to enjoy the thrill of fighting to his heart's content. However, what Uchihamadara doesn't know now is that compared to him as the reincarnation of Indra's chakra, the cheat used by Kingsea is far more powerful than his. Chapter 221. The capital of the Water Kingdom, the palace of the daimyo of the Water Kingdom. The third Mizukage Bing and Kingsea are meeting the current daimyo of the Land of Water. Third generation, is this the candidate you prefer for the fourth generation? The daimyo of the Land of Water gently shook the fan in his hand and said slowly. Yes. Lord Daimyo. Bing maintained a respectful attitude and replied, this is Otsutsuki Seiji, an elite ninja of Kirigakure, his strength is no less than mine, maybe even stronger than mine. The third Mizukage Bing obviously knew what the daimyo of the water country was interested in, so he came up and mentioned Kingsea's strength. Upon hearing this, the daimyo of the Land of Water clearly showed some interest and put away his original nonchalant attitude. Although he was not a ninja, he knew about the strength of the third Mizukage Bing. After all, he had served as the guardian ninja of his father, the previous daimyo of the Land of Water, for a period of time. His strength could be said to be among the best in the entire ninja world. The man who was nominated as the fourth Mizukage, Otsutsuki Seiji, was so powerful that Bing actually evaluated him as being even better than him, which aroused a bit of interest from the daimyo of the water country. The daimyo of the Land of Water put away the fan in his hand, leaned forward slightly, and put on an attitude of listening attentively. The third Mizukage Haim became interested in the daimyo of the Land of Water, so he continued to introduce, he is the current captain of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the Hidden Mist. Although he is still young, he has perfectly completed many A-level and S-level tasks of the village. He is the current record holder of many tasks in the village. He once defeated the 3rd Kazekage Tetsusa of the Hidden Sand Village in the Land of Wind on the battlefield of the Land of Rain. Oh! The daimyo of the Land of Water's eyes lit up. He didn't expect this person to be so capable. Although he didn't have an accurate concept of the strength of a ninja, he also knew that those who could become the shadow of a village were basically the strongest among the 5 major ninja villages, not to mention the 3rd Kazekage Tetsusa, who was hailed as the strongest Kazekage in history, and his reputation spread throughout the entire ninja world. As for Kingsea's age, he doesn't think it is a big problem. Being young is a good thing, which means there is still room for improvement. Besides, doesn't he have the 3rd Mizukage Bing to help him? Next year, the funding for the Hidden Mist Village can be increased by another 20%. The daimyo of the Land of Water was so happy that he gave out tens of millions of taels of silver at once. With such a powerful figure around, it seemed that he didn't need to worry too much about the safety of the land of water. Moreover, there would surely be a possibility of getting involved in the continent in the future. The daimyo of the land of water suddenly felt a trace of ambition in his heart, but he suppressed it immediately. Bing was instantly happy when he heard that there was more funding. He added, "Oh, right. Lord Daimyo. That mission back then was carried out by Ching Si." The daimyo of the land of water was stunned for a moment, then he suddenly realized which mission Bing was talking about, so he looked at King Si deeply, his eyes filled with satisfaction. "That's all. With the joint recommendation of me and the elder Yuanqi, as well as the approval of all the jonin in the village, it is finally confirmed that Otsutsuki Cg will succeed as the fourth Mizukage." Bing continued. "Greetings, Lord Daimyo." King Si stood up and bowed to the daimyo. Although in his heart he looked down on the daimyo of the Water Kingdom, who could be regarded as a parasite of the entire Water Kingdom, King Si's expression did not show the slightest bit of it. He still maintained an extremely respectful attitude. As for being hypocritical, he was still capable of that. I forgot to mention it. At this time, the third Mizukage Bing suddenly added, King Si is also the grandson of Elder Yuanqi. I see. Very good. The daimyo of the land of water was even more satisfied. Now he had no problems at all. Whether it was his background or his strength, he was very satisfied with King Si. So, the daimyo of the land of water nodded and agreed that Cg would serve as the fourth Mizukage. Thank you for your trust, Daimyo-sama, and your support, Sandaime-sama. I will do my best to contribute to the Hidden Mist Village and the Land of Water. King Si flattered the daimyo of the Land of Water without meaning anything. Very good. I hope that in your hands, the Hidden Mist Village will become stronger and stronger. The daimyo of the Water Country responded. Yes. Daimyo. It is our duty to restore the glory of the Water Country. King Si shouted a slogan. He wanted to fool the daimyo of the Water Country first. As for whether the Water Country after restoring its glory would still have anything to do with you, the daimyo, that would be discussed later. The daimyo of the Water Country was stunned by King Si's slogan. The words rebuilding the glory of the Water Country really touched the heart of the daimyo of the Water Country. You know, the Water Country was very powerful a long time ago, but it has become much weaker now. The daimyo of all generations have wanted to make the Water Country strong again and get a piece of the rich and fertile land of the Fire Country. However, as parasites of the country, they do not have the ability to do so. However, to be frank, restoring the glory of the Water Kingdom and making it strong again is only for their own benefit, so that they and their families can have more wealth. After a moment, the daimyo of the Land of Water changed the subject and asked tentatively, Third generation. What do you think of the ongoing Ninja World War? Bing hesitated for a moment and replied. He knew what the daimyo of the Land of Water wanted to ask, Daimyo. The Hidden Mist Village is not fit to participate in the war yet. However, looking at the situation in the ninja world, the next war will not be too far away. I think the next war will be the stage for us to show our talents. King Si, standing aside, felt very disdainful and even a little nauseous. He also understood the thoughts of the daimyo of the Land of Water. This daimyo of the Land of Water really thinks he is a piece of cake. Other cage may be restricted to a certain extent by the daimyo because the daimyo holds the economic lifeline of the ninja village, but King Ji will not. He controls the most profitable intelligence business of the underground gold exchange, and he is fearless. The daimyo of the Land of Water was silent for a moment, then smiled again, fully demonstrating the qualities of a qualified politician. That's great. Although he did not get the result he wanted most, it seemed that the Water Country had no chance of participating in this Ninja World War. However, he could accept Bing's promise that the Kirigakure would participate in the next Ninja World War. He just had to wait patiently for a few more years. Chapter 222. After a cordial and friendly meeting, Bing and King Si, as well as the daimyo of the Land of Water, each got what they wanted. Damn-ya. We will return to the village now. Bing said goodbye respectfully to the daimyo of the Water Kingdom. Well. The daimyo slowly walked to the palace gate and said farewell in person. Actually, with his status as a daimyo, there was no need for him to send Bing and King Si out in person. But Bing and King Si drew him one big, round, and fragrant cake after another. The daimyo of the Land of Water, unable to contain his excitement, sent Bing and King Si out. The Water Country will fully support the construction and development of the Hidden Mist Village. In order to eat the fragrant pancake, the daimyo of the Water Country made his promise, but also made his request, I also hope that the two of you can come up with some results as soon as possible. Of course, please rest assured, daimyo. Bing replied. He could see that Kingxi was not very fond of the daimyo of the water country, and he also had a vague understanding of Kingxi's future thoughts, so he was basically the one who communicated with the daimyo of the water country afterwards. That's good. I hope the Hidden Mist village becomes stronger and stronger, surpasses Konoha soon, and becomes the largest ninja village. The daimyo of the land of water said with emotion, and there was a barely perceptible eagerness in his tone. He was really dazzled by the big promises made by Bing and Ciji. Then, he turned his gaze to Ciji and said, finally, congratulations to you, Ciji, for becoming the 4th Mizukage. In the future, I hope we can work together to realize the revival of the land of water as soon as possible. Kingxi smiled, bowed gracefully to the daimyo of the land of water, did not answer, then turned around and left the daimyo's palace with Bing. Let's go. Let's go back. Kingxi called out to the Zigwashan Puffer Demon and the Tonko Ye Baron who were waiting outside the daimyo palace. Then the 4 of them left the capital of the water country together and galloped towards the direction of the Hidden Mist village. The matter of the Hyga clan has been settled, and the meeting with the daimyo has also ended. Therefore, there is no need to waste the eye power to forcibly take the 3 people with him and use the eye technique Takamaji Ehara to teleport directly back to the village. Time quickly came to the 37th year of the Hidden Mist. Since the hidden danger of the Kagaya clan was resolved, the development of the Hidden Mist village has entered the fast lane of rapid development under the leadership of Kiyoshi. A large amount of knowledge and ninjutsu have been continuously opened up. Ordinary sealing techniques and barrier techniques have gradually become popular among the Hidden Mist ninjas at the level of Chunin and above. The overall strength of the Hidden Mist ninjas is also constantly improving. Now, in addition to Ciji, who is a super kage, the Hidden Mist village has a total of 4 ninjas who have reached the kage level of strength, namely the 3rd Mizukage Bing, the 3 Tails Jinchuriki Kirigakure, the wielder of the large sword Sameheta among the 7 ninja swordsmen Wakayama Fugyuki and the wielder of the blunt sword Kabutoki. In terms of high-end combat power, the country has almost restored the grand occasion of the last Ninja World War. There are also many more elite Jonin and Jonin level ninjas than before, not to mention the Chunins. However, even so, it cannot be compared with the glory of the first Mizukage, and there is still a long way to go. At that time, the Hidden Mist village was at the pinnacle of history, with a full 10 kage level powerful combat forces. The revival of the Hidden Mist village will still take time. In the ninja school that abolished the Blood Mist policy and implemented reforms according to Kiyoshi's ideas, talented ninjas in all senses emerged like mushrooms after a rain, and this made the 3rd Mizukage being more deeply aware of the omissions in the policies he had implemented before. That's right, although the Blood Mist policy selected the so-called elite ninjas to a certain extent, and these elite ninjas, after growing in strength, also effectively supplemented the large number of mid and high-end combat forces that the Hidden Mist village had previously lacked. It also led to the burial of many talents who were not outstanding in terms of ninja strength. After the implementation of the new policy, the 3rd Mizukage Bing quickly discovered several children with talents in medical ninjutsu and sealing techniques in the ninja school. These children were all civilian ninjas. If they were screened according to the rules of Blood Mist, I am afraid that the day they graduate would be the day they die. During this period, the 3rd Mizukage Bing accepted 2 more disciples at Kingxi's request, forming a complete ninja team. In addition to Uzumaki Kana who had been accepted before, Bing's other 2 disciples were also geniuses who had emerged in the Hidden Mist village in recent years. One of them was Hoshigaki Kisame, who had just entered the ninja school this year, and the other was Terumi Mei, the daughter of Terumi Hiroshi, the patriarch of the Terumi clan, who had competed with Ciji for the double swords, Teihu. Hoshigaki Kisame was born in the 31st year of Kirigakure, and is just 6 years old this year. However, the 6-year-old Hoshigaki Kisame has perfectly inherited the physique of the Hoshigaki clan, and possesses a larger amount of chakra than the Watermelon Mountain Puffer demon back then. Moreover, Hoshigaki Kisame showed extremely high ninja qualities as soon as he entered school. The 3rd Mizukage Bing, who happened to be inspecting the ninja school, was delighted to see him, and Ciji kept whispering in his ear that he should accept a few more disciples and train the younger generation of Kirigakure village well. So Bing decisively accepted Hoshigaki Kisame as his second disciple. As for Terumi Mei, it was Terumi Hiro, who had some friendship with Ciji during the battle for the ninja swords, who took the initiative to approach Ciji after learning that the 3rd Mizukage Bing wanted to accept a disciple. Although the Terumi clan has a complete method for practicing the bloodline limit boiling release, the strongest member of the Terumi clan, Terumi Hiramu, is at best an elite jonin. More importantly, Mei Terumi, who was born in the 29th year of Kirigakure and is 8 years old this year, can be said to be the most talented person in the history of the Terumi clan. Not only did she inherit the bloodline limit of the Terumi clan's boiling escape, she also possesses a second bloodline limit called dissolving escape. She is an unprecedented owner of double escape technique bloodline limits. However, there is no one in the Terumi clan who can guide Terumi Mei in developing her bloodline limit of melting escape. Therefore, in Terumi Hiroshi's opinion, the third Mizukage Hy, who possesses the bloodline limit of ice escape and has developed it to the extreme, is the most suitable teacher for Terumi Mei. After all, ice escape, boiling escape and melting escape are all bloodline limits of escape techniques, and they have something in common in the underlying logic. Of course, Terumi Hiroshi must also have the idea of clinging to the Mizukage and taking the family to the next level. After all, he is the previous Mizukage, so he is still the Mizukage after all. Kiyoshi was very interested in Mei Terumi, who was originally going to become the fifth Mizukage in the future. In his opinion, if Mei Terumi's double bloodline limits were cultivated well, there was a high possibility that a new bloodline fusion of water jutsu, fire jutsu and earth jutsu would appear in the future. So, after Kingji communicated with the third Mizukage Bing accepted Mei Terumi as his last disciple. Chapter 223. While the Hidden Mist Village was developing rapidly, the Ninja World War was still in full swing. On the battlefield in River Country, between the Sand Village and the Hidden Leaf Village, small-scale battles almost never stopped, and during this period there were many extremely brutal large-scale melees involving more than 1,000 people. After Shimura Danzo took over as the commander of Konoha, Cho of Tsunagakure also went to the front line. She wanted to avenge her son and daughter-in-law. After Cho arrived at the battlefield, all kinds of new poisons emerged one after another, and the standard antidote developed by Konoha could not cure Chiyo's poison at all, causing the Konoha ninjas to suffer terribly and suffer heavy losses. Under the leadership of Cho, the Tsunagakure clan once gained an unprecedented huge advantage, and the front line was pushed from the central part of the river country to the southwestern border of the fire country. Even Tsunade's younger brother, the grandson of the first Hokage Hashirama Senju, and the last male member of the Senju clan, Nawaka Senju, accidentally fell into an explosive trap during a mission and unfortunately died. Even his internal organs were taken out by the enemy. At this critical moment, Tsunade, who learned that her brother had died, was recalled from the front line of the Land of Grass by the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen and transferred to the front line of the Land of Rivers for support. Tsunade did not disappoint the expectations of the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen. Full of sadness and anger, she made the antidote for the poison made by Cho on the third day after arriving at the front line of river country. With the help of the antidote, Commander Danzo Shimura led the Konoha ninja to launch a beautiful counterattack. Cho soon discovered that her poison had been cracked by Konoha, so she immediately began to develop new poisons. The battle between Tsunade and Cho through the air has begun. Cho was constantly updating her poisons, and Tsunade, relying on her medical knowledge, was constantly cracking Chiyo's poisons and then making corresponding antidotes. In this process, Tsunade was growing rapidly. At the beginning, it still took Tsunade 2 or 3 days to crack and make the corresponding antidote, but later, after getting the poison sample, she only needed less than half a day to make the corresponding antidote. Finally, Tsunade even developed a universal antidote for the poison developed by Cho. Although this antidote cannot completely detoxify, it can effectively suppress the outbreak and spread of toxins in the body, so that the Konoha ninjas no longer have to be timid when facing the Sand Village ninjas. Even if they are accidentally poisoned, they can rely on the universal antidote to hold on until Tsunade makes the corresponding antidote and then detoxify. At this point, the attack and defense changed. The casualties of the Konoha ninjas were greatly improved, and they no longer had to worry about being poisoned on the battlefield and could exert their full strength. However, the Sand Village gradually showed signs of decline. Cho had no way to deal with this. The speed at which her poison was updated could not keep up with Tsunade's cracking speed. In desperation, she had to call for support from the village's high-end combat forces, and then led the Sand Village ninjas to go all in and launch a surprise attack on the Konoha camp, intending to kill Tsunade directly. As long as Tsunade is lost, Tsunagakure will still have a chance to turn the tables with the help of Chiyo's poison. However, Cho subconsciously ignored Tsunade's strength. Although she knew that Tsunade already had the strength of Kage at this time and had obtained the title of 3 ninjas from Hanzo of the Salamander, she did not think that Tsunade, as a medical ninja, would be difficult to deal with. It can be said that Cho at this time had not realized the seriousness of the matter. So, after Raza and Yegura stopped Hitaki Sakumo and Shimura Danzo respectively, Cho took a dozen Jonin-level puppeteers, broke through the heavy blockades and obstructions of the Konoha ninjas, and besieged Tsunade. However, it was at this time that Cho realized that her estimation of Tsunade was totally wrong. Tsunade is simply the nemesis of the puppeteers of Sand Village. She is not afraid of being poisoned or injured, and her attack power is surprisingly strong. All puppets will be shattered at the touch of Tsunade's strange power. Even Chiyo's Chikamatsu 10 people can only withstand 2 more punches than ordinary puppets. You can't win. You can't win at all. After a whole day of fierce fighting, Cho, who had lost all hope, finally took the initiative to admit defeat to Konoha. The war between Sand Village and Konoha Village has ended. But, what was dramatic was that in this battle, when Tsunade's lover Kato Dan was performing the spirit transformation technique, his real body and the 2 teammates who were protecting him were simultaneously attacked by the Sand Village ninjas. Poor Kato Dan, not only did his kidney suffer a damage, but other internal organs were also missing. The news only reached Tsunade after the surrender of Kirigakure. When Tsunade arrived, she discovered in despair that even though she defeated Cho and became the strongest medical ninja in the ninja world, she still could not save her lover's life. Tsunade cried heartbreakingly, watching Kato Dan's life gradually fade away and eventually die in front of her eyes. In a short period of time, she lost her beloved brother and her lover one after another, which left a huge shadow and trauma in her heart. Tsunade, who suffered a severe blow, suffered from hemophobia, which was extremely ridiculous for a medical ninja. This can be considered an alternative way to get rid of Tsunade, the medical expert. I wonder if Cho of Kirigakure will regret surrendering too early after learning about this. In the battlefield of the Land of Rain, the war between the Hidden Rock Village and the Hidden Rain Village is almost over. Salamander Hanzo's spirit was almost crushed in this ninja world war. It was clearly he who initiated the war, but now, his Hidden Rain Village is the first to withdraw. Ultimately, it is still a problem of resources and manpower. Although the Hidden Rain Village has defeated the Hidden Sand Village and the Hidden Leaf Village successively and obtained a lot of resources and war reparations, the combat power of the Hidden Rain Village has been a bit behind and it no longer has the capital to continue fighting. Since the war broke out, the Hidden Rain Village has lost a large number of ninjas, especially Jonin and Chunin. The loss has exceeded 2/3. Moreover, the Hidden Rain Village does not have a complete ninja training system like other ninja villages. The lost mid and high-end combat power cannot be effectively replenished at all. Moreover, even if he could defeat the Uegakure village, Salamander Hanzo didn't want to fight any further. At this time, the Rain country could be said to have been destroyed, and its economy had completely collapsed. Therefore, Hanzo secretly sent an envoy to negotiate with the third Tsuchikage Noki. The Uegakure village also didn't want to fight with the Rain village anymore. The Uegakure village joined the war for the sake of profit, but what they gained from the Rain country was far less than what they suffered. It could be said that they had made a losing deal. So, with mutual consent, the Hidden Rain Village and the Hidden Iwa Village quickly reached an agreement, shook hands, and made peace, ending the war. At this point, the Hidden Rain Village, as the initiator of the Ninja World War, was the first to withdraw from the Ninja World War, and the Hidden Uegakure Village was able to concentrate on the war between Konoha Village and Kumigakure Village. Chapter 224. It's still the battlefield of the Rain country. After the Hidden Rain Village withdrew from the Ninja World War, the Hidden Cloud Village, which was originally hired by Salamander Hanzo, fell into an awkward situation. For the Hidden Cloud Village, it was actually completely unnecessary to cross several countries to enter the Land of Rain to fight. Moreover, they had already obtained what they wanted from the Land of Whirlpools in this Ninja World War. If it were not for the generous hiring of Hanzo of the Salamander, the Hidden Cloud Village originally planned to do the same as the Hidden Mist Village, watching the fire from the other side of the river and developing in secret. However, as the war intensified, a real fight broke out between the Hidden Cloud Village and the Hidden Uegakure Village. Both sides continuously sent reinforcements to the front line, and even sent their most powerful weapons and jinkriki to the front line. The scale of the war also increased from hundreds of ninjas at the beginning to thousands of ninjas in the end. Therefore, the Hidden Cloud Village, which was hired by Hanzo and was an ally of the Hidden Rain Village, was severely stabbed in the back by Hanzo's withdrawal from the war. As the saying goes, "We are ready to fight to the death, why did your majesty surrender first?" Therefore, the embarrassed Cloud Village had no choice but to retreat hastily after losing the resource support of the Rain Village due to its too long supply line. The war with the Iwagakure village ended in a whimper, but a feud was formed between the Cloud Village and the Iwagakure. This also laid the groundwork for the next Ninja World War. The last war to end was the war between Iwagakure village and Konoha village. As other battlefields ended one after another, the Iwagakure village and the Konoha village were able to turn their full attention to the battlefield in the Land of Grass. In the early stages of the war, since the Iwagakure village was the last to join the battle, its war preparations were particularly thorough, and it passed through the Land of Grass and directly entered the territory of the Land of Fire. But the good times did not last long. Before the Iwagakure village could gain enough benefits in the Land of Fire, Konoha's counterattack followed, and the front line was soon pushed back to the Land of Grass. After the war between Konoha and Imagakure ended, the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen sent the newly appointed 3 ninjas to the front line of the Land of Grass. Although Tsunade was later transferred to the front line of the Land of Rivers, the 2 cage-level powerhouses, Orochimaru and Jiraiya, still brought tremendous pressure to the Iwagakure. As we all know, the cutting-edge combat power of the Iwagakure village has always been weaker than that of several other ninja villages, but the performance of the Iwagakure village in the war is not weak at all. They rely on the tactic of explosive troop growth and their main strength is unity. The number of ninjas in the Iwagakure village is the largest among the 5 major ninja villages. Perhaps the number of ninjas in the Iwagakure village, including the Mist village and the Sand village combined, is not as large as that in the Iwagakure village. Although most of them are genin and chunin, don't forget that the Iwagakure village also has a terrifying war-level earth-style ninjutsu. When the number of ninjas is large enough, the quantitative change will lead to a qualitative change, and they can use earth-style ninjutsu with devastating effects on the battlefield. Therefore, even though the Iwagakure village only has Commander Benito who has the strength of a cage, the Iwagakure village can still fight back and forth with the Konoha ninjas who have 3 cage-level members of the 3 ninjas. Otsutsuki is the captain of the demolition team of the Iwagakure village and a close confidant of the 3rd Tsuchikage Noki. He is also the 4th cage-level powerful figure in the Iwagakure village, in addition to the 3rd Tsuchikage Noki, the 4 tails Jinkriki Lao Shi, and the 5 tails Jinkriki Han. However, the Jinkriki is the foundation of a ninja village and will not easily step into the battlefield. Therefore, Akika can be said to be the only cage-level figure in the Iwagakure village besides the Tsuchikage. With the tacit cooperation of the demolition team, Hong Tu could barely fight the 3 ninjas to a draw on the battlefield. Dozens of Iwagakure jonin who were proficient in earth escape were responsible for uniting to fight against the contemporary Inoshika-Cho combination, while other Iwagakure ninjas formed one combat team after another and fought steadily, and did not fall into a disadvantage in the confrontation with the Konoha ninjas. So, for a while, the war situation between Iwagakure and Konoha was in a stalemate. It was not until Tsunade was transferred away by the 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen that the Iwagakure side gained the upper hand again. On the battlefield, the explosive techniques of the Red Earth and blasting troops blew Orochimaru and Jiraiya into a mess. Although their lives were not in danger, they were indeed suppressed. But there was nothing they could do, after all, the Iwagakure had the advantage in numbers. However, Iwagakure did not remain arrogant for long. Konoha village, which was the first to end the war with Sand village, once again sent a ninja unit led by Konoha White Fang Hitaki Sakumo to the front line of the Land of Grass for support. As a result, Konoha naturally crushed Iwagakure in high-end combat power and once again gained the upper hand. However, soon after, the Iwagakure village quickly ended the war with the Imagakure village and the Kumigakure village, and the 3rd Tsuchikage Noki and the 5 tails Jinkriki came to the battlefield of the Land of Grass together. The 3rd Tsuchikage Onoki and the 5 tails Jinchuriki who suddenly appeared on the battlefield broke the balance of power between Iwagakure and Konoha. Konoha was defeated and beaten up by the Iwagakure village. If Jiraiya hadn't realized that something was wrong and summoned the 2 great sages of Miyaboku Mountain in time to help him enter the sage mode, and if Hitaki Sakumo hadn't fought desperately, the 3 patriarchs of the contemporary Inoshika-Jo, namely the Nara, Yamanaka, and Akimichi clans, would probably have gone to see the 6-path sage. After Orochimaru used the Orochimaru-style substitution jutsu to dodge a dust release from the 3rd Tsuchikage Noki, he was hit in the back by a sudden explosion release, Mind Fist from Aoi, severely wounding him on the spot. Hitaki Sakumo was also burned by the boiling release steam from the 5 tails Jinkriki after fighting to exhaustion. Jiraiya can be said to be the only highlight in this battle. He showed powerful strength in sage mode. With the cooperation of the 2 sages and the 3 giants of Miyaboku Mountain who were summoned later, Jiraiya single-handedly held back Crimson Earth and the five tails that had fully transformed into the tailed beast, buying time for the Konoha ninja to retreat. Chapter 225. Even so, Konoha still suffered heavy losses. No one could stop the flying third Tsuchikage Onoki. He kept bombarding the retreating Konoha ninjas with dust release, causing huge casualties to them. If it weren't for the fact that dust release consumed so much chakra, the third Tsuchikage Noki alone would be enough to wipe out all the fleeing Konoha ninjas. When the news reached Konoha, the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen was immediately furious and cursed the third Tsuchikage Noki for being so unkind as to actually do such a despicable act of sneak attack as the cage of a village. Therefore, the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen immediately took his good friend Danzo Shimura, who had just returned from the land of rivers, as well as the patriarchs of the Uchiha, Hyuga, Inuzuka, Kurama, Aberame and other families, and the temporarily assembled ninja troops, and rushed to the front line of the Land of Grass. In order to ensure that he could crush the Uegakure village in terms of high-end combat power, the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen even invited Akimichi Torai Fuse, who had long ceased to be involved in village affairs and was recuperating at home, and was a disciple of the second Hokage Senju Tobirama, and also had the strength of a cage. He wants to let the third Tsuchikage Onoki know the horror of the largest ninja village in the ninja world. After arriving at the battlefield in the Land of Grass, the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen quickly organized the Konoha ninjas to launch a counterattack against the Uegakure village. The strength of Konoha, the largest ninja village in the ninja world, was fully demonstrated in this counterattack. Although the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen was unable to defeat the third Tsuchikage Noki who had the ability to fly, the tacit cooperation between him and his good friend Danzo Shiken made it impossible for the third Tsuchikage Noki to escape from their entanglement, and he had no chance to use dust release against other ninjas of Konoha. As for the Five Tails Jinchuriki, he was firmly restrained by Akimichi Norifuge and the patriarchs of the major families. Even if he had completely transformed into a tailed beast, it would have been of no avail. After all, he had not yet reached a reconciliation with the Five Tails. He was only able to fight in full-tailed beast form by using the special methods of the Uegakure village and his own strong willpower. The Sand Village has a sleeping technique that allows the one-tailed Jinchuriki to completely transform into a tailed beast, so it makes sense that the Rock Village has a technique with a similar effect. The captain of the Uegakure village's demolition team, Benito, was beaten and killed on the spot by Jiraiya who had activated his Sage mode again. The Uegakure village was immediately in despair after losing a cage-level strongman. After fighting for most of the day, the ninjas from both sides were already on the verge of collapse. The death of Otsutsuki could be said to be the last straw that broke the camel's back for the Uegakure village. Even if their respected Tsuchikage was still fighting, they did not have the courage to continue fighting. The defeat was like a landslide. Just as they had done to Konoha in the past few days, Konoha will return the same thing to them today. The third Tsuchikage Noki was also a hero. Knowing the current situation, he decisively initiated peace talks with Konoha after he had dealt with the remnants of the Uegakure. Thus, the war between Uegakure village and Konoha village also came to an end. On June 37, the 6th year of the Kirigakure era, with the cessation of hostilities between the Uegakure village and the Konohagakure village and the completion of peace talks between the two sides, the Ninja World War, which began on September 8, the 34th year of the Kirigakure era and lasted for nearly 3 years, affecting almost the entire ninja continent, came to an end. After the war, the Hidden Rain village embarked on a hopeless path of decline, while the Hidden Uegakure village managed to break even in this Ninja World War, and the result can be said to be neither good nor bad. The Sand village suffered a slight loss, after losing 2 cage-level puppeteers, Imu and Jun, but it also gained 2 new cage-level powerhouses, Raza with the magnetic release and Yekura with the scorch release. Overall, the impact was not significant. The Hidden Cloud village can be regarded as the hidden winner among these families. Although it was a draw with the Hidden Uegakure village, after all, their main target in this Ninja World War was actually the Land of Whirlpools, and their goal has now been achieved. As for Konoha village, as the apparent winner of this Ninja World War, it once again made all parties in the ninja world realize that the leader is the leader, and it is not so easy to pull Konoha down from the position of leader. However, Konoha is not as well off as everyone imagines. In fact, you only need to mention one point to understand Konoha's predicament. The result of the war with the Hidden Rain village was entirely due to political considerations, which made Konoha the victorious party. But in fact, Konoha lost countless elite ninjas and a large amount of resources in this war. Therefore, Konoha's losses in this Ninja World War were also very heavy. Although the result ended in victory, this victory was just the word victory. Finally, there is the Kirigakure, which did not participate in the war and developed quietly. Apart from the time when CG led the 7 ninja swordsmen to help Omegakure win the war against Tsunagakure, there was no record of the Kirigakure taking any action. All parties in the ninja world who participated in the war also subconsciously ignored the Kirigakure, which was on an isolated island far away overseas. However, what no one knew was that the biggest beneficiary of this ninja world war that engulfed the entire ninja world was the Hidden Mist Village, which did not participate in the war at all. The Hidden Mist Village, the Mizukage building, the Mizukage's office. King C was sitting at his desk, handling government affairs seriously. Ever since the third Mizukage Bing and CG finished their meeting with the daimyo of the Land of Water and returned to the Hidden Mist Village, Bing basically stopped taking care of things. When Seiji's reforms of the ninja school gradually showed results in recent days, Bing transferred all the power of the Mizukage to CG, and he devoted himself to teaching his 3 disciples and the 3 little ones that CG forced on him every day. It can be said that the current CG is actually fulfilling the duties of the Mizukage, and the only thing missing is a formal ceremony for the succession to the 4th Mizukage. And now, the time has finally arrived. Master CG. An Anbu appeared instantly, kneeling on one knee and reporting, the team carrying out the mission in the grass country called and said that the Hidden Rock Village and the Leaf Village have signed a peace treaty. The Ninja World War officially ended yesterday. Very good. King C raised his head, looked at the Anbu in front of him, and asked, have you informed the 3rd generation? Yes. The Anbu replied respectfully, Master Ken went to Mizukage-sama himself. Well. Well done. Go. King C nodded and waved to the Anbu, indicating that he could leave. Chapter 226. How is it, little King C? Is my seat comfortable? The 3rd Mizukage Bing was sitting opposite King C at this time, and joked to King C with an indescribable sense of relief in his tone. Ever since handing over the power of Mizukage to King C, Bing, who had unloaded the heavy burden on him, can be said to be living younger and younger, and his condition has shown a significant improvement that is visibly improved. King C looked helplessly at the 3rd generation Mizukage Bing in front of him, revealing a bitter smile, 3rd generation sir, you are really... Haha. There's nothing we can do about it. It's because you, little CG, are so outstanding. The 3rd Mizukage laughed heartily. He has never been a person who covets power. Over the years, the Hidden Mist Village has been almost entirely supported by him. He stubbornly implemented the radical Blood Mist policy just to train more elite ninjas for the Hidden Mist Village. When he saw that CG could perfectly perform the duties of the Mizukage and govern the Hidden Mist Village more and more prosperously, he decisively transferred all power to CG. I'm not as good as the 3rd generation master. I hope the 3rd generation master can give me more advice. King C shook his head and said modestly. Hee. There's no need to flatter me. I know I'm not qualified to be the Mizukage. Upon hearing this, the 3rd Mizukage Bing smiled bitterly. He was very self-aware. Let alone anything else, just talking about Kyoshi's reform of the ninja school, it was far from what he did when he was in office. Not to mention that the fundamental reason for all the changes in the Hidden Mist Village now was all because of Kyoshi. Don't say that. The 3rd cage is indispensable to the Hidden Mist Village. King C said seriously. Although he didn't necessarily agree with the 3rd cage Mizukage Bing's governing methods in his heart, he had to admit that the 3rd cage Mizukage Bing was indispensable in the development of the Hidden Mist Village. Moreover, although the Blood Mist policy does not seem to be a good solution now, and a lot of talents have been buried in the process, from Bing's perspective at the time and the limitations of ninja thinking, there is really no better way to think of. After all, the martial spirit of the Hidden Mist Village that respects the strong has been deeply engraved in the hearts of the Hidden Mist ninjas. Moreover, the Blood Mist policy did contribute to filling the mid to high-end combat power of the Hidden Mist Village, otherwise it would not have been unanimously agreed upon by all major families. It can be said that if there had not been a cage-level strongman like Bing who forcibly supported the Hidden Mist Village over the years, the Hidden Mist Village would probably have fallen apart long ago. That is the absurdity of the ninja world. The 3rd Mizukage Bing smiled when he heard what King C said, but he immediately put away the smile on his face and became more serious. Then let's talk business first. The Ninja World War is over. When will King C officially succeed as the 4th Mizukage? Ching Si pondered for a moment, then said, then, let's set it on the 1st of next month. All right. The 3rd Mizukage Bing nodded directly. He also thought that July 7st was a good date. Let's leave the succession ceremony to the Yuanxi elder. He is very familiar with this. After a slight pause, the third Mizukage Bing continued with a smile on his face, you don't have to worry about this matter, Xiao Qingxi. I will talk to the elder Yuanxi later and I promise to make clear arrangements for you. After all, this is the fourth Mizukage ceremony that elder Yuanxi is in charge of. More than half a month has passed since the Ninja World War officially ended. During this period, although there were occasional minor frictions between the various parties in the ninja world, they all restrained themselves from each other and no major conflicts occurred. The ninja world once again entered a period of peace and tranquility. However, I don't know how long this peace can last. Time quickly came to July 37, the 7th year of Kirigakure. At 10 o'clock in the morning, dragons of different colors suddenly appeared in the sky above the hidden mist village, tumbling in the air. Then, the bodies of the dragons suddenly exploded and turned into countless brilliant sparks, shining brightly like falling stars. The ceremony to succeed the fourth Mizukage began on time. On the high platform at the top of the Mizukage building, the third Mizukage Bing, wearing a blue and white Mizukage hat, appeared first. Not far behind him were the elders, the master, and the heads of the major families in the hidden mist village, as well as a group of jonin or elite jonin who held positions in the village. Bing walked to the edge of the platform and opened his eyes, which were usually closed. He first looked around the village he loved, and then looked at all the Kirigakure ninjas and villagers of the Kirigakure who had gathered below. The fourth Mizukage inauguration ceremony begins now. Bing's voice, enhanced by chakra, echoed in the ears of all those who came to attend the ceremony. The ceremony will be hosted by me. The third Mizukage Bing. Please give me your guidance. Then Bing took a deep breath and continued excitedly, now please welcome the hero of our hidden mist village. Otsutsuki Cg, who will soon serve as the fourth Mizukage, is here. Everyone below was excited, looking at the stage with anticipation, and thunderous applause and cheers rang out. In recent times, all of Qingxi's past mission records that could be made public and did not involve the village's secrets, as well as his various contributions to the hidden mist village, have been made public. Bing and Yuanxi have been constantly building up momentum for Qingxi, which has really raised everyone's expectations to the maximum. As the applause and cheers gradually died down, a rhythmic sound of footsteps came from the podium. Tap! 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 Every step that landed on the ground stepped on the heartbeat of everyone present. Qingxi, wearing a blue and white divine robe with the 5 big characters 4th generation Mizukage written on the back, slowly walked from the shadows on the side to the front of the 3rd generation Mizukage Bing. Then please. 4th generation. The future of the hidden mist village is entrusted to you. Bing said to Qingxi solemnly, then took off the blue and white hat that symbolized the identity of the Mizukage and handed it to Qingxi. Qingxi took the Mizukage's hat, put it on solemnly, and said confidently, thank you for your hard work. 3rd generation master. Leave the rest to me. I will definitely live up to your expectations. Chapter 227. Qingxi turned around, facing everyone below, and then elegantly grabbed the bamboo hat in his hand. From now on, I will become the 4th generation Mizukage who is responsible for the great revival of the hidden mist village. Ah! Yandame Sama! Long live the 3rd Mizukage! Long live the 4th Mizukage! All of a sudden, applause and cheers were like a surging wave, sweeping over like a tsunami, rushing towards Qingxi with overwhelming force. The deafening sound was like millions of birds flapping their wings at the same time, or like countless lightning streaking across the sky, which shocked people. The cheers and applause were like the bright stars in the night sky, flashing endless light, or like a group of dancing butterflies, flying lightly in the air with joy and happiness. Every Kirigakure ninja and Kirigakure villager who gathered released the most sincere emotions from the bottom of their hearts, and turned their appreciation, respect, and love for Kyoji into loud and warm applause and cheers. The whole scene was filled with passion and vitality, as if the earth was shaken by this powerful force. Of course, this is as it should be. Seiji's contribution to the hidden mist village is really too great. Coupled with his extremely powerful strength, he fully deserves the title of the 4th Mizukage. For the ninjas of the hidden mist village, Kyoji provided everyone with all the knowledge about chakra that he brought back from the moon, as well as the various attributes of ninjutsu that he had improved upon without any prejudice, which greatly improved the ninja qualities and overall strength of the hidden mist village ninjas. As for the villagers of the hidden mist village, Kyoji also did something for them that even the previous Mizukage had not done. Chakra technology has now been popularized in most parts of the Hidden Mist village. Chakra lights, chakra telephones, etc. have undoubtedly changed the original way of life in the Hidden Mist village. The convenience of life has been improved incomparably, and it is still at an extremely low price that is almost free. Looking at all the people cheering below, King C's heart was also a little turbulent. Although ordinary ninjas were completely inadequate compared to the strength of an Otsutsuki, this did not mean that these ordinary ninjas had no merits. As an Otsutsuki who grew up in the ninja world, the ninja world can be said to be his base. Moreover, CG is not as arrogant as other Otsutsuki clan members who look down on ordinary ninjas or ordinary people. With the memory of growing up under the red flag in his previous life and various experiences in this life, CG will not ignore the ordinary people. Moreover, even if he possessed overwhelming strength, he could not rule this vast ninja world alone without enough talented people loyal to him. In order to achieve his goal of planting the sacred tree in the ninja world for a long time, he would definitely need a force to assist him. And which force could be more suitable than the Hidden Mist village that had helped him become the fourth Mizukage? After all, this era is no longer the time when Kagaya Otsutsuki planted the sacred tree. At that time, the ninja world only had natural energy, a very high threshold cultivation method. The strong people who cultivated natural energy were basically killed by Kagaya Otsutsuki, leaving only ordinary humans without any strength. Therefore, Kagaya Otsutsuki was able to conquer the entire ninja world with her overwhelming and terrifying strength, regularly offering to the sacred tree, creating white zetsu while brewing new chakra fruits. But in the end, Kagaya Otsutsuki's rule was overthrown by the toad from Mount Maiboku, a native creature of the ninja world who practiced natural energy, or fairy arts. The toad successfully bewitched her two sons and worked together to overthrow them. Therefore, everything Kingji is doing now is to achieve his goal better and more conveniently, and also to avoid repeating the mistakes of Kagaya Otsutsuki and causing such out-of-control things. Although he will definitely not be like Kagaya Otsutsuki, who got pregnant by instinct and gave birth to two unfilial sons, who knows what else is hidden in the ninja world. He knows that the ninja world is a deep pool, and the old man, the six-path sage, is still staring at the ninja world from time to time. Of course, becoming the Mizukage was also to fulfill the wish left by his father Genji and lead the Hidden Mist village to become stronger. This can be said to be one of Genji's few obsessions. Father! I have fulfilled your dream. I am now the Mizukage. Father, wait for me, it won't be long before I can revive you. Thinking of his father Genji, Seiji's eyes could not help but turn red. 10 years have passed. Kingxi's thoughts kept wandering, and after a few breaths, Kingxi forced himself to control his wandering thoughts and bring them back. Now they were still at the Mizukage succession ceremony. Kingxi took a deep breath and pressed his hands down, signaling everyone to calm down. From today on, we have officially entered a new era. An era called the Fourth Mizukage. There was another burst of cheers. So, everyone, are you ready to follow me and rebuild the glory of our Kirigakure? Kingxi's voice was passionate and firm, as if it could penetrate the clouds and reach everyone's heart. Kingxi stood on a high place, overlooking everyone below, his eyes full of expectation and trust, and continued, the Hidden Mist village has experienced glory, but also fell into a trough. However, as long as we unite closely and give full play to our greatest potential, the Hidden Mist village will be able to move towards light again. Gentlemen, let us work together to rebuild the glory of the Hidden Mist. Ah! Let's fight together! Great! The noisy cheers rang out again. But suddenly, a strange voice mixed in with the cheers, causing everyone to burst into laughter. Master Kingxi! I want to give birth to a baby for you. Ching Si on the platform suddenly froze. Who is this person? It was clearly a ceremony for the succession of the Mizukage. Good man, please don't let me catch you, or I'll be in big trouble. Very good. Ching Si stopped paying attention to this and nodded with satisfaction. Then, the era that belongs to us, Kirigakure, begins today. Chapter 228. The news that a man named Otsutsuki Seiji succeeded as the fourth Mizukage spread quickly throughout the ninja world like the wind. In the Sand Village, the third Kazekage Tessa couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief after learning that Seiji had become the Mizukage. Fortunately, it wasn't so embarrassing anymore. It was much better to lose to the Mizukage than to an unknown Kirigakure ninja. The third Tsuchikage of the Uegakure village, Onoki, was very disdainful of Seiji's appointment as the fourth Mizukage. He bluntly said that the third Mizu Kage, Bing, might be senile as he let an 18-year-old kid be the Mizu Kage. This could be said to be the youngest Kage since the era of the ninja village. Even though CG had a record of defeating the third Kazekage Tessa, in the eyes of the third Tsukikage Onoki, he was still not a concern. He had enough confidence in his bloodline to eliminate the dust release. Onoki, who had not yet experienced the beating of the Rinnegan, firmly believed that his dust release was invincible in the ninja world. Moreover, being young also means being weak. How strong can an 18-year-old Kage be? Therefore, the third Tsukikage Onoki was more relieved about the Hidden Mist Village, which did not participate in the Ninja World War. The Hidden Cloud Village had a similar idea to the third Tsukikage Noki. The third Reikage Ai, who possessed the strongest spear and the strongest shield, was extremely confident in his own strength, and did not think that the newly appointed fourth Mizu Kage would pose any threat to their Hidden Cloud Village. Moreover, in the just concluded Ninja World War, the Hidden Cloud Village cooperated with the Hidden Mist Village to capture the land of whirlpools, and the two sides are still in a honeymoon period. In Konoha Village, the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen was a little confused about Seiji's appointment. After all, the third Mizu Kage Bing was still alive, and he hadn't heard of anything that happened in the Hidden Mist Village, yet the Mizu Kage was suddenly replaced. Moreover, Sarutobi Hiruzen also had some hidden worries, fearing that something might happen in the Hidden Mist Village. After all, apart from the Land of Lightning, the only country across the sea from the Hidden Mist Village was their Land of Fire. Replacing the Mizu Kage at this critical juncture when the Ninja World War just ended, who knows what the Hidden Mist Village, which only took action in the Land of Whirlpools but did not participate in the Ninja World War, is thinking? Besides, this is an 18-year-old Kage. Being young also means being full of energy. What if the newly appointed fourth Mizu Kage wants to start a war? At this time, Sarutobi Hiruzen had begun to show his old age and was gradually degenerating into the ninja bear of the future. However, another big boss of Konoha Village and the loyal ally of the Hidden Mist Village, Pot Shadow Danzo Shimura, was very happy to hear the news. He and CG had an extremely pleasant cooperation. In Danzo Shikan's opinion, the Hidden Mist Village with CG at the helm will be his most steadfast good ally before he becomes the fourth Hokage. As for the last force, that is Uchiha Madara, of course they also learned the news brought by White Zetsu. When Uchiha Madara learned that CG had become the Mizu Kage, he couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. After all, as the Kage of a village, he probably wouldn't be able to leave the village easily. It seemed that he could only find another opportunity to have a head-on battle with CG. And Black Zetsu in the dark was even more desperate. With the entire Hidden Mist Village as his arm, the threat posed to him by CG the Otsutsuki could be said to have increased sharply. The ninja world was no longer safe enough for him. So Black Zetsu secretly made up his mind that he would stay here with Uchiha Madara in the future. This base was extremely secretive, and CG, who was far away in the Hidden Mist Village, would not be able to find him. As for intelligence, let White Zetsu be responsible for collecting it. Anyway, he was not going to go out again. As a 1,000-year-old villain, Heizetsu is well versed in the art of hiding. As for Nagato, who was taken away by Kingji, and the Rinnegan in Nagato's eye sockets, they can only take it one step at a time and save themselves first. After the succession ceremony of the fourth Mizu Kage, CG immediately returned to work again. Having just become the Mizu Kage, he was still full of enthusiasm and did not unscrupulously order his shadow clones to handle government affairs. At this time, Kingzi, who was concentrating on handling government affairs, did not notice Yagura coming. It wasn't until Chino Kizuna behind him reminded him that he noticed. After Kyoji became the Mizu Kage, he temporarily let China no Hojiki serve as his secretary to assist him. China no Hojiki, who was born in the Hojiki clan and had served in the Anbu for many years, undoubtedly knew the village very well and could be said to be the best candidate to be the Mizukage's secretary. Otsutsuki Gara, who had been following him to help him deal with trivial matters, was sent by CG to the Anbu to reunite with her husband Otsutsuki Tenshin because she was not familiar with the Hidden Mist Village. Ching Si raised his head and smiled at his little brother. "Here I am, little brother. Wait a moment." Then he turned to Chino Kizuna behind him and said, "Sister, please go and ask the third generation and Elder Chunyu to come over." Not long after, the third Mizu Kage Bing and the Elder Chunyu came to the Mizukage's office. Seeing this lineup, Bing understood instantly, so he asked directly, "Fourth generation, is it Vulpix?" "Yeah." Kingsi nodded. "Yakura and the three-tailed Isabu get along very well, which proves that there is no problem with our method." It's time to deal with the Vulpix as well. I also need some of the Vulpix's chakra. Okay. The third Mizukage Bing nodded in agreement. It must be said that he had actually forgotten about the Vulpix. After all, the overall strength of the Hidden Mist village was already very strong, and they did not need the combat power of such a Jinchuriki. Elder Harusame. Kingxi turned his gaze to Harusame. I heard that you adopted the child of the previous Three Tails Jinchuriki. Yes. Elder Harusame hesitated for a moment and replied, does the Mizukage want Yujao to become the Six Tails Jinchuriki? Please forgive me for not agreeing. The child is only 2 years old now. No. Kingxi replied immediately, it's just a backup. Elder Chun Yu is the village's master of sealing techniques, so you should also understand that he had a child after becoming a Jinchuriki, so his child will definitely be affected by the aura of the tailed beast, which means that his physique is very likely to be suitable for becoming a Jinchuriki. Then, Kingxi looked at the third Mizukage Bing and said, Third Sama, is there anyone in the village who is suitable to become a Jinchuriki? Bing didn't say anything for a while, and his mind began to frantically recall the situation of the Kirigakure ninja. Chapter 229. There are only a few families in the Hidden Mist village who are suitable to become Jinchuriki, the Kyujira clan, the Hoshigaki clan, the Kagaya clan, and oh, yes, the Otsutsuki clan. The Kyujo clan already has the Three Tails Jinchuriki, Kyujo Yagura, so it's obviously not appropriate to give them the Six Tails as well. The Hoshigaki clan, except for his disciple Hoshigaki Kisame, has relatively weak members, so they're not suitable either. As for the Kagaya clan, there are only a few people left, so it's probably even less suitable. The last Otsutsuki clan, currently only has 2 people, and they don't need the Six Tails to increase their strength. You can let Kisame try, but I feel he may not be so suitable. Bing said slowly. Although Kisame is not very old, under his teaching, he has formed his own fighting style, which is obviously not so compatible with Vulpix's abilities. Alright. Kingxi made the decision, let Kisame give it a try, and we'll talk if it doesn't work. At the same time, let Kagaya send a member of his tribe as well, we can't favor one over the other. However, Elder Chun Yu, you also have to be mentally prepared, if they both can't work, then we still need to seal the Vulpix into Yujao. Okay. Chun Yu nodded. He knew that Ching Si respected him very much. After all, the Jinchuriki could be said to be the most valuable asset of a ninja village, and his choice would not be subject to the intervention of an ordinary elder like him. 3 days later. The number 15 training ground in the Hidden Mist village was where the battle for the ninja swords took place. The third Mizukage Bing, the fourth Mizukage Siji, the elder Yuanji, the elder Harusame, the Anbu Choken, the three-tailed Jinchuriki Yagura, the Mizukage secretary Chinokidu, the current head of the Kagaya clan Kagaya Kaze, and several Jinchuriki candidates who were traveling with them came here together. The other 6 ninja swordsmen who had been waiting here for a long time immediately came forward and respectfully greeted the big guys who had arrived with them. Why are they all here? Ching Si looked at the Zigwa Mountain Puffer Ghost and the Tonka Wild Bait Man, somewhat confused. He had clearly only called the 2 of them, but did not ask the others to come as well. Although he did not stop them from telling the Zigwa Mountain Puffer Ghost and the Tonka Wild Bait Man, that was it. Lord Mizukage. We are here to see you beat up the Vulpix. As soon as Biwajozu opened his mouth, he revealed his identity as a playboy. They were miserably suppressed by the runaway Vulpix last time. If it weren't for the strong support of his brothers, he would have gone to see the Six-Path Sage long ago if he hadn't chopped the tailed beast ball with a sword. Therefore, when they learned that Kingxi was preparing to deal with Vulpix again, the rest of the people immediately followed the Zigwashan Puffer Demon and Tonko Bait Man. They wanted to see Kingxi's heroic figure, and at the same time they wanted to witness Vulpix being beaten with their own eyes. After hearing this, a few black lines appeared on Kingxi's forehead. He seemed to hear the inner monologues of Kurisan Kushimaru, Mori Shinpeki, and Sato Kage. Me too. These people really seem to be here just for fun. Ching Si smiled speechlessly. Forget it, since we are here, let's just watch. Third Generation Master. Please remove the seal. Kingxi turned and said to the third generation Mizukage Bing. This time, Kingxi did not choose to bring the sealing team with him. With his current strength, he alone is enough to seal the 6 tails into the body of the Jinchuriki. It's just a small Vulpix, it's easy to catch it. Bing walked forward, formed a seal to release the seal pot that sealed the Vulpix, then quickly retreated to a corner of the training ground. With his old arms and legs, he couldn't stand the torture of the Vulpix, so it would be better to leave the matter of educating the Vulpix to Kingxi. Roar! Boom! Accompanied by a roar, a huge slug appeared in front of everyone. The slug's body was milky white, covered with a layer of slimy liquid, and exuded a frightening smell. Its 6 huge tails were waving irregularly in the air, each of which carried unparalleled power and contained endless strength. With the appearance of the Vulpix, a destructive aura of the tailed beast spread. Its presence made the surrounding air heavy and oppressive, as if it could not bear its pressure, and the ground began to tremble slightly, as if it was succumbing to this powerful creature. Let's start. Kingxi spoke softly. His voice was not loud, but it echoed throughout the number 15 training ground. Bing, Yagura, Zigwashan Pufferfish Demon, and Tonko Yabaran were standing at the 4 corners of the training ground at this time. After hearing Kingxi's order, they began to make hand seals at the same time, and a huge chakra aura emanated from their bodies. Ninja Technique 4 Red Sun Formation. A red transparent flame barrier instantly appeared, covering the entire number 15 training ground. The terrifying aura of a natural disaster emanating from the Vulpix was firmly isolated from the village by the 4 Red Yang Formation. And this is exactly the reason why Kingxi dared to take action within the Hidden Mist village. This 4 Red Yang Formation can only be performed jointly by 4 ninjas who have reached the level of Cage. It can be said to be the ceiling level barrier ninjutsu that ordinary ninjas can use. The other ninjas and villagers in the Hidden Mist village had already received the notice from the Elder Master, so they were not at all panicked by the red barrier that suddenly appeared inside the village. After looking up, they went back to their own work. The pure eye quietly opened, and Kingxi stared at the huge body of Vulpix in the center of the training ground, constantly looking at where he should start first. It seems that the chakra is not much different from that of the 3-tailed Isabu. Kingxi thought to himself, and his mind couldn't help but recall the joke he had seen in his previous life. When the 6-path sage Otsutsuki Hago Romo was distributing chakra to the 9-tailed beasts, he mainly adhered to the principle of treating all equally. 1 portion went to the 1-tail and 1 portion to the 9-tail, 1 portion went to the 2-tail and 1 portion to the 9-tail, 1 portion went to the 3-tail and 1 portion to the 9-tail, and so on. At the end, he found that there were still a lot left, so he stuffed all of it into the 9-tail. Now, under the observation of the pure eye, this has indeed been confirmed. I'm not sure about the other tailed beasts, and CG has never seen them, but at least there is not much difference in the amount of chakra between his 2-tailed beasts. The 8-tails Jinchuriki I had seen before was in a sealed state, and Kingxi didn't have the pure eye at that time, so he couldn't sense the specific amount of chakra. Then, let's just have 2 tails. Kingxi decided. After all, the 3-tailed Isabu contributed nearly the chakra of 1 tail to him at that time. Therefore, if converted to the 6-tailed one, it would be 1/3, which means 2 tails. Chapter 230. Vulpix roared once again. Having just escaped from the seal, it still didn't understand the situation clearly. But it didn't matter anymore. Since it appeared again, it was bound to cause a big trouble. Moreover, although it was not sealed for too long this time, it still made it very unhappy. After all, it was a tailed beast that symbolized natural disasters, so how could it be sealed by humans? So, it raised its head, opened its mouth, and prepared to fire the tailed beast ball at the humans in front of it. The yin-yang chakra quickly gathered in front of the Vulpix's big mouth, but Kingxi just watched quietly and did not choose to take action directly. There's really no novelty. Every time it's the tailed beast ball. Is there nothing else besides the tailed beast ball? Kingxi looked at the tailed beast ball that was almost formed with an expressionless face and started to complain. The indifferent voice continued to echo in the 4 Red Yang Formation. When the people watching the battle from the back heard it, they all couldn't help but smile bitterly. Please. Not everyone is like you, okay? For ordinary ninjas like us, the tailed beast ball can be considered a devastating blow. Upon hearing this, Yagura in the corner also started complaining in the spiritual space at the same time as the 3-tailed beast Isabu. Indeed, the wild-tailed beasts without the cooperation of the human sacrifice were really lacking in means of attack. Every time they fought, they only used the same few moves and relied entirely on their instincts to fight. It must be said that the tailed beasts do have a little bit of combat intelligence, but not much. Tailed beast Jade. A destructive purple-black chakra sphere was fired towards everyone's position. Around the path where the tailed beast ball flew in the air, layers of fine spatial cracks emerged. Except for the third Mizukage Bing, all the spectators felt this terrifying power and were also uneasy in their hearts. As high-ranking members of the Mist Village, they had seen runaway tailed beast Jinkriki and seen the tailed beast balls, but this kind of tailed beast ball launched by a wild perfect tailed beast was not comparable to the tailed beasts they had seen before that went berserk and revealed their perfect form. However, when they saw Xing Si standing in front of them, calm and collected, the panic in their hearts immediately stopped. The pure eye on his left side lit up instantly, and endless pupil power poured in. Looking at the tailed beast ball that was approaching at a very fast speed, Kingxi whispered the name of the pupil technique. Young name is Viguna. The eye technique Xiaoming Biguna, which was infused with almost one-third of Kingxi's eye power, successfully shrunk the tailed beast ball. Then Kingxi casually waved his arm, as if slapping a fly, and slapped the tailed beast ball that had shrunk to the ground, which was too small to be seen by the naked eye. This scene was very shocking from the perspective of others. In their eyes, the tailed beast ball disappeared strangely before it could get close to Kingxi and exert its power. In fact, for Kingxi, a mere six-tailed beast ball is enough for a defensive ninjutsu, and he does not need to consume so much eye power to forcibly use the eye technique. However, on the one hand, CG wanted to try using Shomei Bikona to reduce the consumption of the tailed beast ball's pupil power, and on the other hand, of course, he was also preparing to show off his prowess in front of others. After all, he has almost no rivals in the ninja world now, so it shouldn't be too much for him to show off in front of his own people. Vulpix waited for a long time, but the tailed beast ball it fired did not explode, which made it very angry, so it opened its mouth and fired a strong acid towards Kingxi's position. Ninja technique, knowing wolf death. The highly corrosive acid solution rushed towards Kingxi with an extremely loud force. Kingxi, who had already shown great strength, would not indulge the Vulpix this time. The chakra in his body burst out, and he rushed towards the overwhelming strong acid solution like a cannonball. Sealing technique, suction seal. Kingxi's eyes have already switched from the pure eye to the samsara eye, and a layer of chakra protection shield enveloped Kingxi's body a second before the strong acid solution covered his body. The six tails chakra in the strong acid solution was absorbed completely in an instant. The strong acid solution, which lost the six tails chakra contained in it, also suddenly lost its strong corrosiveness and no longer posed any threat to Kingxi. Kingxi rushed out of the strong acid solution in an instant and came close to Vulpix. Switching his eyes back to pure eyes again, Kyoji took out the double swords, Aoi, from Takamaji Ehara space while flying at high speed in the air, and poured the chakra in his body towards Aoi. Flatfish, Liberation. Double Sword Ninjutsu, Crescent Moon Sky Strike. Infusing chakra, briefly charging, and then swinging the sword, a few movements in one go. An extremely large sword energy emitting surging chakra fluctuations went straight to the swinging tail behind the Vulpix. At this time, although Vulpix had recovered from the dizzy state after being released from the seal, and also recalled Kingxi who defeated it last time and Bing and Haruya who sealed it, it still did not realize the seriousness of the problem. From the perspective of the Vulpix, it was only because of the poor condition of its Jinkriki that it was successfully trapped by Seiji's water escape technique and was eventually sealed again. However, it also vaguely remembered that Seiji had fought with it for a long time before he was able to barely control it when it was not in perfect condition. But now, Vulpix. Tailed Beast Disaster. Although his condition is not at its peak, it is far from being comparable to the last time when he was restricted by the Jinkriki. Therefore, Vulpix did not take Kingxi, who was just a small bug in its eyes, seriously. However, the next second, Vulpix will pay for its good self-image. The whistling chakra blade energy cut off the two tails of the Vulpix at lightning speed. Our Kingxi is a ninja who keeps his word. If I say I want 2 tails from you, then I will give you 2 tails, not one more, not one less. Ah! The pain of having its tail cut off instantly made Vulpix roar in agony, and its rage value instantly reached Promax. At this moment, it no longer had the extremely good self-feeling it had just had. It had realized that something was wrong. How come the strength of this damn bug had changed so drastically from last time? At this time, Kyoji had already flown behind the Vulpix and picked up the 2 tails that were broken on the ground. He first used Shayanabai Kona to shrink them, and then used Takamaji Ehara to throw the 2 shrunken tails into the Takamaji Ehara space. His cute little 10 tails hasn't had snacks for a while, so these 2 tails must make it very happy. Chapter 231. The furious Vulpix's body squirmed, and with a destructive burst of tailed beast chakra, Countless strong acid solutions were secreted from the Vulpix's body, covering the surroundings indiscriminately. At this point, Kyoshi has already completed his goal of collecting the Vulpix's chakra, so it's time to prepare for a one-stop service to weaken and seal the Vulpix. His eyes switched again, the aqua blue instantly turned into sky blue, emitting a dazzling light, and Kingxi floated behind the Vulpix, raised his hands, and chakra burst out. Shinra Tenzen. A powerful repulsive force exploded, instantly repelling the strong acid solution in the huge body of the Vulpix. Vulpix struggled angrily, but still couldn't resist the fate of being flung away by Shinra Tensei. At this time, Vulpix realized that these abilities of CG were so similar to those of the old man Liu. Bad. Could it be the Samsara Eye? The Vulpix that was shot away fell heavily to the ground, stirring up a thick cloud of dust. The people watching the battle from afar felt the slight tremor of the ground and gasped at the same time. Such a huge-tailed beast, which could be called a moving disaster, was easily knocked away by their fourth Mizu cage. The smoke and dust gradually dissipated, and Vulpix finally let go of its self-righteous self-image and looked at Kingxi carefully. Good news. The eyes are not the Samsara eyes. Bad news. How come he looks so much like old man Liu when he was young? After being beaten up and completely awakened, Vulpix felt an extremely bad feeling deep in his heart. At this moment, he regretted his lack of insight just now. This beating might have been in vain. It doesn't have as ferocious strength as the nine-tailed fox. Facing an Otsutsuki who is as powerful as the old man Six Paths and his brother, it is not excessive for it to be more sincere. After using Shinra Tensei to send the Vulpix flying, CG did not make any other moves. He just floated quietly in the air, his sky-blue Rinnegan emitting an invisible power as he stared at the Vulpix. At this time, Liu already wanted to run away, but as the saying goes, there is life, there is hope. But when it noticed the red barrier standing around it, it gave up the idea. It knew very well what this red barrier was. In its 1,000 years of life, it had witnessed the power of this barrier called the Four Red Yang Formation more than once. That is a barrier that even the tailed beasts condensed with all their strength cannot easily break. Kingxi seemed to see Vulpix's dilemma, so he decided to add fuel to the fire. Silently, Kingxi changed from the Rinnegan back to the pure eye again and glared at the Vulpix. Young name Biguna may rain. Countless yin-yang black sticks suddenly appeared and then fell towards Vulpix like raindrops. Although Vulpix reacted, it was too big and many black sticks inevitably penetrated its body. Kingxi raised one hand in front of his chest and formed the seal. The black stick inserted into Vulpix's body instantly formed a hole, imprisoning the chakra in Vulpix's body. The huge body of Vulpix stiffened, and the flow of chakra in its body was blocked. It suddenly lost the ability to resist and became a catfish on Kingxi's chopping board. Done. Kingxi dusted himself off and landed gracefully on the ground. He then intercepted 3 small balls of chakra from the Vulpix and slowly walked towards the crowd watching the fight. At the same time, he waved to the 4 people who were maintaining the barrier in the corner, signaling them that they could cancel the barrier. Lord Mizuki's strength is truly amazing, he is simply too strong. Kagaya Kaze exclaimed. Fortunately, he made the right choice and preserved the last inheritance of the Kagaya clan. With such a powerful Mizu cage, how could Kagaya Musashi succeed in his coup? Even if he did not take the initiative to report Kagaya Musashi, allowing Kagaya Musashi to successfully launch a rebellion, he would probably have been easily suppressed by the invincible 4th Mizu cage who was once his cousin. Indeed, the strength of the 4th Mizu cage has surpassed the previous Mizu cages. I'm afraid he is very close to those 2. Elder Chun Yu also sighed. Although he had not witnessed the attacks of Hashirama Senju and Madara Uchiha like the 3rd Mizu cage Bing and the Elder Yuanchi, he had seen the power of the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd generations, and had also heard other people who had experienced it describe the devastating scenes when those 2 perverts attacked. However, Chun Yu's vision was still a little narrow, or in other words, with his perspective, he simply couldn't understand the value of Kingxi's strength. Therefore, he simply speculated from the movement caused by the battle that Kingxi's current strength might not be as good as that of the former Hashirama Senju and Uchiha Madara. After all, there is a huge gap in strength between Haruyu, an old ninja whose strength is now only at the level of a Jonin, and even Haruyu, who was only an elite Jonin at his peak, and Cg, who is now at the level of a super shadow. How can a sparrow understand a swan? Sword, let the Anbu notify the 3rd Hokage's disciple, Mei Terumi, to come over as well. And clan leader Hiroji Terumi, let him come as well. Kingxi interrupted the flattery of the crowd and spoke. He suddenly had a bold idea. The manifestation and destructive effect of the strong acid solution of the Vulpix are exactly the same as those of Mei Terumi's second bloodline limit, dissolution escape. Looks like it. It's so much like it. Therefore, although Mei Terumi was not among the candidates they had originally planned, and her chakra amount and physical fitness did not meet the standards of becoming a Jinchuriki, Kyoji still decided to let her give it a try. After all, with him here, even if she failed, nothing would go wrong. The third Mizukage Bing nodded without objecting. They had indeed not thought about it in this regard before. The scope of the Jinchuriki was all focused on ninjas with strong physiques and extraordinary chakra amounts. Although, once becoming a Jinchuriki, through constant interaction with the Six Tails, one can also master the Six Tails' similar ability of dissolution release, but if Mei Terumi, who already possesses the blood limit of dissolution release, becomes the Six Tails Jinchuriki, then, presumably, the effect of 1 + 1 being far greater than 2 can be achieved. Kingxi was not sure whether his idea was feasible, but it was definitely worth a try. The bloodline limit that Mei Terumi mastered is dissolution jutsu, not lamination jutsu, which are two completely different jutsu techniques. The Book of Formations clearly states that only the fifth Mizukage Mei Terumi mastered dissolution jutsu, while the rest all mastered lamination jutsu. Melting release is a bloodline limit formed by combining the changes of the two properties of earth and water. Its effect and manifestation is a viscous strong acid liquid with strong corrosiveness. When Suzuki broke into the 5-cage tournament, the animation team made Terumi Mei's lava release into a magma form. Later, Kishimoto personally colored the lava release in the manga to distinguish it from lava release. The picture is below. The author has something to say. Chapter 232. Kyoji turned his gaze towards Hoshigaki Kisame who was next to the third Mizukage Bing, and towards the girl named Kagaya Haru who was next to Kagaya Fu, and motioned for them to come forward. While waiting for Mei Terumi, let's let these two try out what would happen if they merged the Vulpix's chakra. Hoshigaki Kisame stared at Seiji with a fanatical look on his face. He was deeply shocked by the strength of his own fourth Mizukage. The image of Seiji defeating the Vulpix easily and comfortably had been deeply imprinted in Hoshigaki Kisame's heart. Kyoji patted Hoshigaki Kisame's shoulder in amusement, which brought him back to his frenzy. Hoshigaki Kisame and Kagaya Haru sat cross-legged on the ground, separated from each other by a distance. Don't be nervous. Kingxi's gentle voice came, calming the tension of the two. Although they had been told in advance that they were the candidates to become the village's strategic weapon, anyone who saw the various ninjutsu that were like natural disasters just performed by the Vulpix would definitely be terrified. However, Kyoji was the fourth Mizukage who easily suppressed the Vulpix. As soon as he spoke, the nervousness of Hoshigaki Kisame and Kagaya Haru was quickly relieved. Seeing that the two had calmed down, Kingxi waved his hand gently and sent two small balls of Vulpix's chakra to Hoshigaki Kisame and Kagaya Haru respectively. The two of them did not hesitate and directly absorbed the Vulpix's chakra into their bodies. Hoshigaki Kisame's chakra is indeed extremely huge. Despite his young age, he easily suppressed the Six Tails chakra that entered his body without causing any waves. On the other hand, Kagaya Haru's situation was much worse. It took her quite some time to barely suppress the small ball of Vulpix's chakra. Although Kagaya Haru is the most suitable candidate to become the Jinchuriki among the remaining members of the Kagaya clan, her performance will undoubtedly be much dimmer with the example of Hoshigaki Kisame. If it were in other villages, her performance would obviously be above the passing level, and she might be able to successfully become a Jinchuriki. However, the attitude of other ninja villages towards Jinchuriki would not be as friendly as the current Kirigakure. But unfortunately, this happened in the Hidden Mist village, and she met a rival in Hoshigaki Kisame who had an absurdly large amount of chakra. Seeing this, Kagaya Feng lowered her head silently. As the fourth Mizukage, Seiji gave their clan a fair chance to compete, but they were really not up to the mark. From this point of view, the revival of the Kagaya clan still has a long way to go. Well done, Kisame. Bing praised his disciple. Although he did not think that his disciple was suitable to become the Six Tails Jinchuriki, he would not actively object. After all, this could be said to be a good opportunity for his disciple. That's right, for the current Mist Village, with Kyoji here, becoming a tailed beast Jinchuriki is no longer a bad thing. Instead, it has become a fast track to improving strength. With Yagura's experience in becoming a perfect Jinchuriki, coupled with the Uzumaki clan's powerful sealing technique, and Seiji, a genuine Otsutsuki, the Jinchuriki of the Hidden Mist Village is destined to be different from other ninja villages. Even if it takes a long time, he will become a perfect Jinchuriki sooner or later. It can be said that once one becomes the Jinchuriki of the tailed beast, it means that his strength in the future will be guaranteed to be at the level of Kage, which is equivalent to embarking on a smooth road leading directly to the level of Kage. Pressure Masen. Very good. You are worthy of being the disciple of the third generation. Kingxi also nodded repeatedly at Kisame, his eyes full of expectations. This little guy will definitely become the pillar of the new generation of the Hidden Mist Village in the future. Moreover, no matter whether Hoshigaki Kisame can finally become the Six Tails Jinchuriki, his subsequent strength development will not be too bad. His chakra amount is so huge at such a young age. When he grows up, my guess is that his chakra amount will be able to catch up with the tailed beasts whose chakra amount is relatively less. Brush. A figure suddenly appeared. It was Terumi Hiroji who came here after receiving a message from the third Mizukage Bing. As the current head of the Terumi clan and also a high-ranking official of the Hidden Mist Village, Terumi Hiro certainly knew that the village had made a huge breakthrough in the tailed beast Jinchuriki. Therefore, when he learned that his daughter had the opportunity to become the Six Tails Jinchuriki, he immediately put down his affairs and rushed over. Third generation, sir. Fourth generation, sir. Terumi Hiro suppressed his excitement and bowed respectfully to Bing and Kingxi, then greeted Yuanxi and other people present. Not long after, Mei Terumi, led by an ANBU, also arrived at the number 15 training ground. The third Mizukage Bing saw his disciple coming and waved to her. Xiaoming, do you understand everything? Yes, teacher. Mei Terumi nodded, her face visibly nervous. Come and sit down. Ching Si said lightly in a gentle tone. After seeing that Mei Terumi was ready, CG sent the last small ball of Six Tails chakra directly into Mei Terumi's body. At the same time, he focused all his attention on her, ready to rescue her at any time. And then, nothing happened. Nothing happened. After the Vulpix's chakra entered Mei Terumi's body, it was about to riot, but the next moment, it produced a strange attraction with the dissolving chakra in Mei Terumi's body. Hey? As expected. Kingxi thought to himself as he watched this scene. Everything that happened inside Mei Terumi's body was observed clearly under his pure eyes, and his guess was confirmed. The ability of the Vulpix was indeed dissolution escape. At this time, Terumi Mei also opened her eyes in confusion and looked at Kingxi and Bing in front of her with puzzlement. Was that the Vulpix's chakra just now? 10% off? And why does it seem to be different from what the Anbu just described? Chapter 233. How do you feel? Is there any problem? Bing asked, looking at the puzzled expression of his disciple. Teacher. Fourth generation master. Mei Terumi hesitated for a moment, stammering. She really couldn't describe what had just happened. It seems. I don't feel anything. But I feel that the chakra just now has a very familiar feeling. Hey. Bing didn't quite understand and couldn't help but look at Kingxi and Yagura, who was not far behind. After all, when it comes to understanding the tailed beasts, he is far inferior to these two. The Vulpix's chakra and her dissolving chakra resonate. Kingxi explained, and then sighed, it seems that she is the most suitable to become the Vulpix Jinchuriki. When Terumi Hiro heard this, he instantly became excited. It seemed that their Terumi clan was destined to prosper. This was a tailed beast Jinchuriki who was guaranteed to be at the Kage level and had no negative effects. Elder Haruyu, you can rest assured now. It seems that we don't need Yujao to provide support. Vulpix has already found the most suitable Jinchuriki. Kingxi smiled faintly at Elder Haruyu. If there were any other options, he would definitely not seal the six tails into the body of a 2-year-old child. After all, Kingxi does not have so much time to slowly wait for it to grow up. Wouldn't it be nice to have a Six Tails Jinchuriki that can be trained and become combat ready with just a little effort? Therefore, what I said before was actually just a backup and worst case plan in case there is really no other suitable ninja to become a Jinchuriki. He. Chinyu smiled slightly awkwardly. No matter how you look at it, he did contradict Kingxi a little bit a few days ago. Then, prepare to seal it. CG decided, looking at Yagura at the same time. Let's let the three-tailed Isabu talk to its friends. I hope Vulpix can make a wise choice. Yagura nodded, and red chakra bubbles began to emerge from his body, like boiling flames. As the chakra surged, a red chakra claw quickly extended from his abdomen, like a burning tongue of fire, heading towards the Vulpix that was controlled by CG not far away. At the same time, a small three-tailed Isabu appeared on Yagura's shoulder. When the extended Three Tails chakra touched Vulpix's body, Yagura and Three Tails Isabu entered the Vulpix's consciousness space together and began to communicate with Vulpix. Okay. Yagura exhaled lightly and slowly opened his eyes. Rhino Dog agreed to our request. I have to say that Vulpix is also a hero. After being beaten up by Kiyoshi, it can no longer stand up. In addition, Yagura and Sanwei Isofa kept throwing all kinds of information directly in its face, so it finally agreed reluctantly. Otherwise, it is better than being destroyed by Kiyoshi, the Otsutsuki. After all, the tailed beasts can be reborn again and again after being killed, which is relative. And obviously, this does not work in front of Kiyoshi who masters yin-yang escape. Rhino Hound? Six-tailed, Rhino Hound. The third Mizukage Bing murmured after hearing this. The others who heard it were also a little surprised. It was the first time they knew that the tailed beasts also had names. Very good. Kingxi said with satisfaction, and turned his gaze to the Vulpix that was still pinned in place by him. It made a very wise choice. So let's get started. Kingxi came close to Vulpix, took back the black sticks one by one, and loosened the restraints on Vulpix. Vulpix looked at Kiyoshi steadily, the words of Yagura and Sanbai Isabu still circling in its mind. After a moment, it lowered its head slightly, expressing its submission to Kiyoshi. Kingxi ignored the Vulpix and began to make hand seals with his hands. Although he could now perform most of his ninjutsu by just clapping his hands and shouting something to make it happen, sealing techniques of this level to seal the tailed beasts, and performing them alone, still required complicated hand seals. The sky blue light shone in Kingxi's eyes again, and Kingxi clasped his hands together. Sealing technique, 4-symbol seal. Light blue chakra came out of the body and formed a giant chakra hand, which directly grabbed the Vulpix. Vulpix subconsciously wanted to dodge, but quickly controlled his body and stayed where he was. The giant chakra hand went directly into the body of the Vulpix, and then pulled out fiercely. A handful of Vulpix's chakra was pulled out directly from the body of the Vulpix. Then, under the control of Kingxi, it slowly went towards Mei Terumi who was sitting cross-legged on the ground. When the Vulpix's chakra began to enter Mei Terumi's body, the seal in Kiyoshi's hand began to change. Sealing technique, 8-diagram seal. A stable channel was established between the Vulpix chakra and Mei Terumi using the sealing technique as a bridge. The Vulpix chakra began to flow into Mei Terumi's body at an extremely fast speed. Although the Vulpix's chakra had a strong corrosive effect on Mei's body, under the Vulpix's active control and Kingxi's conscious help, it did not cause too much burden on Mei's body. As time passed, Vulpix's body began to shrink, as if it was being swallowed by an invisible force. Its originally huge body gradually shrank and finally disappeared completely into the air. The entire Vulpix was sealed into Mei Terumi's body. At the same time, the 8-trigram sealing technique also quietly emerged. It was imprinted like a mysterious pattern on the lower abdomen of Mei Terumi, which was exposed when her clothes were slightly lifted. All this happened so quietly, without causing any ripples, and the sealing of the Vulpix was completed just like that. It was completely different from the process of Yagura becoming a Jinchuriki. After the seal was completed, CG also left a key to remove the seal for Mei Terumi, just like Yagura did before. After all, her current physical strength and chakra are not enough to bear the full power of the Vulpix. Even if the Vulpix takes the initiative to help, it will be difficult to do so. Moreover, although the Vulpix has agreed to Seiji's request, whether Mei Terumi can get the recognition of the Vulpix still depends on her subsequent relationship with the Vulpix. And when she grows to be able to fully bear all of Vulpix's chakra, and Vulpix also recognizes her, she can use the key to unlock the seal and become a perfect Jinchuriki like Yagura. Chapter 234. Kingxi is looking forward to Terumi Mei's future growth. He really wants to see how Terumi Mei, whose abilities are very compatible with the Vulpix, will eventually grow to what extent. With the guidance of the third Mizukage Bing, and the help from the fourth Mizukage CG from time to time, and with the identity of Mei Terumi as the Six Tails Jinchuriki, her growth rate is much faster than normal. With the Hidden Mist Village's current understanding of the tailed beast Jinchuriki, if nothing unexpected happens, Mei Terumi will most likely be able to use the power of the Six Tails to become a new cage-level member of the Hidden Mist Village within 5 or 6 years. The only thing that remains to be discussed is whether Mei Terumi can complete the sublimation of her 2 bloodline limits in this process, and further integrate Water Jutsu, Fire Jutsu and Earth Jutsu into a new type of bloodline elimination. With Kingxi here, this is not impossible. Don't forget, Kingxi has his own Seeking Truth Jade. And if Mei Terumi can do it, she can even become a strong person who ranks among the top in the cage level. Time flies, and 3 months have passed since Mei Terumi became the Six Tails Jinchuriki. In the Mizuki's office, Seiji's shadow clone was concentrating on handling government affairs, while his real body, together with Chino Kizuna and Yagura Karatachi, who had officially become the Mizuki's assistant, came to the Anbu headquarters. A family should be together. The 3 stars of Kirigakure have now become the Mizuki's, the Mizuki's secretary, and the Mizuki's assistant. Kiyoshi is quite optimistic about his younger brother Yagura. With his level, it is hard to say whether he can become the 5th Mizuki's, but he is still qualified to assist the Mizuki's and help him handle government affairs. Kingji didn't want to be limited to dealing with tedious government affairs every day. In his opinion, there were many things that didn't need to be handled by him as the 4th Mizuki's. As the supreme leader of the Hidden Mist Village, he only needs to make the final decision on things, give advice on how to deal with them, and provide guidance on the general direction of the development of the Hidden Mist Village. That's enough. The rest of the trivial matters can be handled by the people below and then he can review them. However, the reform of the entire administrative system of the Hidden Mist Village cannot be completed in one step. It involves many interests and still needs to evolve slowly, step by step, like boiling a frog in warm water. Therefore, Kingxi imitated the model of Konoha village and set up a position of assistant to the Mizuki's. However, Kingxi could not be so completely confident in someone he did not know so well, so he decisively pulled the strong man from Yagura to help him deal with those trivial government affairs. Before the 3 of them reached their destination, the first training ground in the Anbu headquarters, they heard bursts of fierce explosions and the sound of ninja swords colliding coming from the first training ground. Mori Shinpeki is causing trouble again. We should really ban him from using the explosive blade and the spray blade in the village. Chino Kizuna pouted, you know, repairing the training ground is also a big expense. He. Kingxi smiled awkwardly and didn't respond. Ever since letting Chino Kizuna take over the village's finance department, his sister has become more and more strict with financial matters. After all, Muri Shinpeki is his loyal subordinate, so how can he discourage his enthusiasm for fighting? At this time, in the first training ground, Tokusano Baito and Murashige Shinpeki were fighting passionately, while the others were at the edge of the training ground, watching the battle in the field with fanatical and interested looks on their faces. It has to be said that the Kirigakure ninjas' bellicosity is ingrained in their nature, and they can even get so excited just watching others fight. The battle was almost over at this time. Although Tokusano Ito did not use his blunt sword, Kabukari, but only used the standard ninja sword of the Anbu to fight against Muri Shinpeki, Tokusano Ito was much superior to Muri Shinpeki in terms of combat experience and personal strength. Therefore, even if Muri Shinpeki holds his ninja sword Bakuto Himo, he is still no match for Tokusano Ito. However, this is normal. After all, Tokusano Ito already has the strength of a cage without using the ninja sword. Kiyoshi, who was approaching the training ground, couldn't help but smile when he saw this scene. Mori Shinpeki's strength was improving very quickly. I'm afraid that within a few years, the ninja swordsmen of the Hidden Mist will be able to achieve such an epic achievement of all members being cage level. Boom! With a dull thud, Wu Li Jingpachi was hit on the wrist by the back of Tokusano I's knife, and the explosive sword Fiimo fell directly out of his hand and fell to the ground. Then he was kicked in the abdomen by Tokusano I and kicked out. The battle is over. Wu Li Shenbei is defeated. You're worthy of being a cage-level powerhouse. Mori Shinpeki got up from the ground, constantly rubbing his numb wrist, and exclaimed with a wry smile. At the same time, his eyes also revealed a hint of desire and passion for cage-level strength. Lord Mizuki. At this time, Anbu Chief Ken instantly appeared in front of Kingxi and the other 2, and bowed slightly to Kingxi. The sound of the sword alerted the other people who were watching the battle and interrupted the fight between Tokusano Baito and Murashige Shinpeki. The Zigwashin Puffer Ghost was stunned for a moment, but reacted immediately and trotted towards Kingxi and the other 2 at a speed that was totally inconsistent with his body size. Lord Mizuki. The Watermelon Mountain Puffer Ghost saluted respectfully, his face full of joy and respect. I can only say that Zigwashin Puffer Ghost is indeed Kingxi's loyal and devoted subordinate, an old bootlicker. The movements of the other people were not much slower than the Zigwashin Puffer Ghost, and soon, everyone stood respectfully in front of Kingxi. Ever since CG became the 4th Mizuki, the original 7 ninja swordsmen became the 6 ninja swordsmen, and CG has never chosen a new owner for the twin swords, Aoi. However, the duties of the ninja swordsman did not change. They just changed from the shadow guard of the 3rd Mizukage to the shadow guard of the 4th Mizukage. The captain of the ninja swordsman was Seiji's direct subordinate, Zigwashin Pufferfish. And today, CG brought Chino Kizuna and Yagura Kiruta here to choose a new owner for the double swords, Aoi. Kyoji had participated in the battle for the double swords Aoi with Kyoji at that time. In Kyoji's opinion, Chiba and Fujiwara Naoki were more suitable for the double swords Aoi. As for the other two, Terumi Hiramu let alone him, his strength was the worst among them. As for Kimiko Miyajima, it was because her crystal release and the abilities of her twin swords, Aoi, were totally incompatible. After all, this was simply a matter of completing the structure of the 7 ninja swordsmen, and there were no other political considerations. Chapter 235. Where are Chief Senran and Chief Naoki? Kingxi asked Jian. They are waiting in my office. I'll call them over now. Jian explained, and then left in an instant. According to common sense, Chiba and Fujiwara Naoki, who do not have ANBU identities, should not be allowed to enter the ANBU headquarters base. The ANBU is a special force directly under the Mizukage, and its existence must maintain a certain degree of concealment. However, as the Mizukage, Kyoji doesn't really care about this. His overwhelming strength is his greatest confidence, so it doesn't matter to him. What's more, Fujiwara Naoki is the current patriarch of the Mitun Fujiwara clan, and Chiba, as Chiba's older brother, also successfully took over the position of patriarch of the Chiba clan not long ago. As the patriarchs of the Kizuna clan and the Fujiwara clan, both of them can be considered high-ranking officials in the Hidden Mist village. If the current Kirigakure village has problems even with its top leaders who betray the village, then I'm afraid this Kirigakure village is no longer worth keeping. After a while, Jian came back, followed by Chiba and Fujiwara Naoki. Lord Mizukage. Fujiwara Naoki bowed respectfully to Kyoshi. Before Kyoshi could speak, he spoke out his thoughts. I want to withdraw from the competition for the ninja sword this time. Chiba's heart moved, and the rest of the people present were shocked when they heard what Fujiwara Naoki said. The game hasn't even started yet, and they're just giving up? They didn't quite understand it, but they were shocked. You know, that was the ninja sword used by the 4th Mizukage. Although it no longer has the political significance it once had, it is undeniable that the double swords, the flaming. Kyoshi vaguely guessed what Fujiwara Naoki was thinking. Compared to Chiba, Fujiwara Naoki was already an elderly ninja. At the age of 38, he obviously didn't have such a thirst for strength. He participated in the battle for the ninja swords before only because the 3rd Mizukage Bing gave the double swords, Aoi, special political significance. On the surface, that battle was for the right to use the twin swords, the flaming flamingos, but in reality, it was a fight for an opportunity to become the captain of the Shadow Guards and a candidate for the 4th Mizukage. And now, for Fujiwara Naoki, becoming the holder of the double swords, tail, can at most enhance his strength to a certain extent. Moreover, compared with the younger Chijin Kizuna, it is difficult for him to have any room for improvement in strength. Therefore, it is no wonder that he would give up on his own initiative. By the way, he can also do good things for Chijin Kizuna, the new patriarch of the Kizuna clan. These thoughts flashed through Kingxi's mind, but he still wanted to ask Fujiwara Naoki again. Chief Naoki. Kingxi asked calmly, are you sure you want to give up? Yes. Lord Mizukage. Fujiwara Naoki answered without any hesitation, and it seemed that he had made the decision long ago. Chief Senran is an excellent ninja, and he is still very young. He is more suitable to be a member of the 7 ninja swordsmen than me. Soga, I understand. Kingxi nodded after hearing this. It was exactly as he thought. Without the symbolic meaning hidden behind it, the double swords, flounder, had no appeal to Fujiwara Naoki. Then, Chief Naoki, you should go back first and remember to attend tomorrow's meeting on time. Jian, send Chief Naoki off. Yes. Lord Mizukage. Fujiwara Naoki responded respectfully, then left with the sword. Kingxi turned his gaze to Kizuna Chiba, opened his pure eyes, took out the double swords, Teba, from the space in Takamagahara and handed them to him. Chief Chiba, although Chief Naoki has voluntarily given up the fight, it still depends on whether you can control the double swords, Teba well. Kingxi stared at Chiron Kizuna steadily, and through Chiron Kizuna's eyes, his gaze penetrated straight into his heart, seeing through him thoroughly. Chijin Kizuna nodded slightly solemnly. As the new patriarch of the Kizuna clan, he must seize this opportunity. His strength has been stuck at the elite Jonin for a long time. Even with all the knowledge about chakra analysis and application brought back from the moon, with his talent, it would be difficult for him to have the strength of a cage. Although Chino Kizuna is now the secretary of the 4th Mizukage Seiji and the sister recognized by the 4th Mizukage Seiji, and is already in a high position of power, the Hidden Mist Village is ultimately a village that respects the strong and has a martial spirit. Having status but no strength is totally unacceptable to the Hojiki clan, who once produced a Mizukage and was once glorious. The Snow clan, which founded the village together with them, has the 3rd Mizukage Bing, a cage-level powerful warrior, while their Kizuna clan, the strongest person at the moment is just this elite Jonin. Chief Senran, I'll give you half a day to get familiar with the ninja swords and your teammates, and I'll test you in the afternoon. Kingxi thought for a moment and made arrangements. Yakura stays and spar with the 7 of them. Except for the complete transformation into a tailed beast, you can use all other methods. The same goes for the others, you can't use forbidden moves, the rest doesn't matter. Yes. Mizukage-sama. Everyone responded in unison, but a different voice was mixed in, okay. CGNII. This is Yagura's answer. Chino Kizuna's face darkened instantly, and she slapped Yagura on the back of his head with a loving slap. Yagura, what's wrong with you? What CG-kun? How many times have I told you? Call your position when you're working. Maintain respect for the Mizukage. You've become the Mizukage's assistant, why are you still so troublesome? Yagura was stunned for a moment, then he reacted immediately, a look of embarrassment appeared on his face, and he secretly groaned in his heart. It seemed that he would be scolded by his sister again when he returned. At the same time, he quickly corrected himself and said, I understand, Mizukage-sama. Seeing how fierce her sister was, Chino Kiss got a few drops of cold sweat on her forehead. The other 6 people also had somewhat unnatural expressions, and their hearts were beating fast. After all, Chino Kiss was the deputy of the first team of the Anbu, and she was their old boss. Kingxi smiled helplessly, but he knew in his heart that by doing this his sister was actually helping him establish the rules and authority of the 4th Mizukage. Chapter 236. That evening, Yagura dragged his tired body back to the Mizukage building. Inside the Mizukage's office, Seiji looked at the ragged little brother in front of him with amusement, and said jokingly, Yakura, is your old problem coming back? Are you underestimating the enemy again? Upon hearing this, Yagura immediately denied it, no. But the 7 of them are really powerful when they unite. If it weren't for the perfect coordination between Isabu and I, we really wouldn't be their match. Chino Kizuna stood behind Seiji and suddenly asked, you've never fought them before, right? Yes. Lose. Yagura suddenly realized halfway through his words and immediately changed his words, lose. How could I lose? Sister, how can you slander my innocence out of thin air? I am the perfect Jinkraki. Seeing the strange looks from Seiji and Chino, Yagura's face flushed red, and veins on his forehead popped out. 7 of us fighting against 1 of us, can that be called a loss? A sparring match between ninjas, how can that be called a loss? Then there was another series of obscure words, something about I was careless and I didn't dodge, which made Seiji and Chino laugh heartily, and the Mizukage's office was suddenly filled with a happy atmosphere. At this point, the new owner of the Dual Blades Flatfish is Chiba Chiba, and Chiba Chiba, with the help of the Dual Blades Flatfish, has the combat power of a cage level. Although he is the weakest among them and relies on external forces, at least the Chiba clan has regained a cage-level strongman who is equal to the Snow clan. The 7 ninja swordsmen of the Hidden Mist Village have finally restored their complete organization. The next day, at 10:30 am, Kingxi held a meeting on time in the conference room of the Mizukage building. After a period of slow exploration, Kingxi has almost gained a clearer understanding of the administrative system of the Hidden Mist Village. Bloat, inefficiency, overlapping and unclear responsibilities between departments, etc., these are the problems that exist in the Hidden Mist Village now, and they are also problems that urgently need to be improved. The 3rd Mizukage Bing also understood these things and had long had the idea of making changes. However, although he knew that there were various problems in the Hidden Mist Village, he did not see it as thoroughly as Kingxi. He could not see through the phenomenon to the essence, nor did he have clear enough ideas to support him in completing this transformation. However, this is understandable. After all, they are ninjas who do not produce anything but complete tasks rather than professional politicians. It is not easy to maintain the operation of such a large ninja village. Even with the second-generation Hokage, Tobirama Senju, Konoha village still has these problems. But now, King C is here. King C's political lessons in his previous life were not taken in vain. Although he has not reached the level of a professional politician, at least he is more professional than those ninjas in the ninja world. He had made sufficient and complete preparations and planned to carry out a comprehensive reform of the Hidden Mist village according to his own ideas. Before officially starting the reform, King C had an in-depth conversation with the third Mizukage Bing and the elder Yuanqi, and explained his reform plan to them in detail. After a heated discussion, both of them expressed their approval of King C's plan, because they also knew that the plan proposed by King C would undoubtedly be a huge improvement for the Hidden Mist village as a whole. Although it would affect the interests of some people and families in the village, it was not important given the overall situation of the village. The interests of the Hidden Mist village are above everything else. Only by building the Hidden Mist village into a village with extremely complete administrative efficiency from top to bottom can it become a strong backing for Kyoji in the future, allow the Hidden Mist village to stand at the top of the ninja world, and provide stronger support for his sustainable tree planting plan. Again, no matter how powerful CG is, he cannot forcibly suppress the entire ninja world. After all, the ninja world is huge, and the forces are complicated. But if the Hidden Mist village can be built into a powerful whole, then it will be possible to control and influence the entire ninja world. This is why King C has been committed to improving the overall strength of the Hidden Mist village, rather than relying solely on his own personal strength. Because only when the entire village becomes strong can it truly stand firm and deal with challenges and threats from all sides. The meeting lasted until the evening and ended with a relatively perfect result. With the third and fourth Mizukage keeping pace with each other, the clan leaders of each ninja clan and some of the jonin who formed small groups, even though they had some complaints about Kyoji's reforms, eventually had to agree to Kyoji's plan. The administrative system of the Hidden Mist village was established by the first Mizukage, Byakuren, and was continuously adjusted by the second Mizukage, Hojiki Gengetsu, before finally forming its current structure. However, now, the entire system has been drastically changed by CG beyond recognition. However, everyone present had to admit that if the new system could really operate smoothly as Kyoji said, then it would indeed be a huge improvement for the Hidden Mist village. However, some of them would lose some of the interests they originally controlled. Kyoji integrated, adjusted, and established new departments of the Hidden Mist village according to their functional divisions. Ultimately, after the reform, the Hidden Mist village had a total of 9 departments: the Anbu, Administrative Department, Mission Department, External Affairs Department, Finance Department, Education Department, Police Department, Medical Department, and Defense Department. Among them, the Anbu directly under the Mizukage, in addition to several permanent teams, the Interrogation Team, Barrier Team, Signal Team, and Communication Team are all under the jurisdiction of the Anbu Minister. The 7 ninja swordsmen, as the shadow guard of the Mizukage and also the most elite special forces of the Hidden Mist village, were separated from the Anbu and came under the jurisdiction of the Defense Department. Their base was also changed to the No. 1 training ground where the space channel was placed. In addition, King C is also gradually merging the intelligence channels of the underground gold exchange office with the Anbu. King C has given full trust to the Anbu chief Jian, and now all the information about the underground gold exchange office has been handed over to Jian for coordination. The administrative department serves as an auxiliary government agency to the Mizukage, with the elder master as the director to coordinate the entire department, while the other elders are each responsible for one of the tasks, mainly helping the Mizukage manage the affairs of the Hidden Mist village. The mission department was separated from the administrative department by CG, and was headed by the Mizukage assisted by Yagura, who was specifically responsible for handling all mission matters within the village. A new mission contribution system was also established. All Kirigakure ninjas, whether civilian or family ninjas, could exchange their contribution points from the mission department for various ninjutsu provided by CG as long as they made sufficient contributions to the Kirigakure village. The police department is headed by Otsutsuki Tenshin, who was recalled from the Anbu by CG. He is responsible for formulating the laws and regulations of the Kirigakure village and maintaining public security and stability within the Kirigakure village. It can be said that all matters occurring within the Kirigakure village, except for espionage matters which fall under the Anbu, are within the jurisdiction of the police department. The Ministry of Education is headed by Kyoji himself, who is mainly responsible for the educational issues of the Hidden Mist village. In addition to training ninjas, the ninja school will also provide education and training for various other talents. In this way, the Hidden Mist Village can develop more and more prosperously. In addition, a scientific research laboratory has been set up under the Ministry of Education. Kingxi has recruited back Sanzu Amato and appointed him as the head of the laboratory, specifically responsible for the research and development of various chakra technologies. The medical department is headed by the Mizuki's secretary, China no Hoshimi, and the director of the Kirigakure Hospital, Minako Ringo, is the deputy head. They are responsible for building the Kirigakure village's medical system and the subsequent training of medical ninjas. The Ministry of External Affairs is headed by the experienced third Mizukage Bing, who is mainly responsible for the external affairs of the Hidden Mist Village and communication with other ninja villages, including, of course, communication with the Land of Water. The Defense Department, which manages the village's military forces, is also headed by Kyoji, but is actually managed by a defense committee composed of the patriarchs of the bloodline families, including Terumi, Miyajima, Fujiwara, Uzumaki, Kagaya, and the current captain of the 7 ninja swordsmen, Wakayama Fugyuki. It is responsible for the overall planning of all the Kirigakure ninjas and the defense of the entire village. The Ministry of Finance is headed by the Elder Master, who is mainly responsible for managing the purse of the Hidden Mist Village and developing its commerce. He accepts the financial expenditures allocated to the village by the daimyo of the Land of Water, makes budgets for various departments, and conducts financial audits. In short, all matters related to money fall under the jurisdiction of the Ministry of Finance. At the same time, Kyoji also implicitly handed over all the wealth that belonged to him in the underground gold exchange to Yuanchi. As an Otsutsuki, he had no use for the money anyway, so he might as well use it to develop the Hidden Mist Village. In this way, the Hidden Mist Village could gradually get rid of the constraints of the water country, and even exert influence on the water country in turn, so that it could better serve his plans in the future. As the reform progressed, Kirigakure had undergone tremendous changes. The administrative system became more efficient and orderly, and the cooperation between various departments became closer. This greatly accelerated the operation of the entire village, reducing the time cost of doing things for both ninjas and villagers, and making life more convenient. As the 4th Mizukage, Kyoji had a much lighter burden on his shoulders, and he was finally freed from those tedious government affairs. The original Kirigakure was too chaotic. People were reckless and thoughtless. I can only change it according to my own settings. This is a transitional chapter. I won't touch on these political aspects later. Chapter 237. In July of the 39th year of Kirigakure, more than 3 years had passed since Seiji awakened the Rinnegan. His Rinnegan also completed its second movement without any ripples, and took another solid step towards the mature stage. If nothing unexpected happens and the Rinnegan Chakram mode is not used, then there will only be the last 3 years for the Rinnegan to fully mature and for Seiji to become a 6 paths level powerhouse. In the Mizuki's office, Seiji's expression became serious. After greeting China no Hoshimi, he used the eye technique Takamaji Hara to return to his Otsutsuki dimension, that is, the Otsutsuki ruins where the 10 tails lived. The blue-green chakra flame rose up instantly, and the Rinnegan opened simultaneously. Kingxi's chakra aura also increased exponentially in an instant. Compared with before, the Rinnegan that completed its second fetal movement made Kingxi's strength take a big step forward in the super shadow level. The blue-green chakra coat finally completely wrapped Kingxi's body, and the Samsara Eye chakra mode was activated. A transcendent and mysterious atmosphere spread out like ripples, gradually covering the entire space. It seemed to come from another world, with an otherworldly temperament that made people fall in love with it. The little Juhobi felt the breath emitted by Kingxi, and its originally closed eyes slowly opened, waking up from its deep sleep, and its huge body trembled slightly. Its huge Magadama-shaped reincarnation eye flashed with scarlet light and turned towards Kingxi. The little 10 tails stared at Kingxi for a while, then adjusted his body position, then slowly closed his eyes and fell into sleep again. The entire space returned to peace, with only Kingxi floating quietly in the air. 3 inky black chakra spheres slowly emerged from between Kingxi's eyebrows. They were the 3 truth-seeking jades that Kingxi had fused together after completing his first fetal movement. The 7 chakras of different attributes began to merge in Kingxi's body according to the method that Kingxi was already quite familiar with. Then, about 10 seconds later, the 4th truth-seeking jade appeared, followed by the 5th, and then the 6th. 6 black chakra spheres slowly floated behind Kingxi, forming a circle and began to rotate slowly. Kingxi's mind moved, and the Dao-seeking jade floated to his raised hands as if by his fingers. Above the palms of each hand, there were 3 Dao-seeking jades floating, which constantly changed into various shapes under Qing Si's will. Qing Si did not try to condense more Tao-seeking jades. Based on his last experience, he already knew that 6 Tao-seeking jades were the limit after completing the second fetal movement. The last 3 truth-seeking jades can only be condensed after his reincarnation I completes the third fetal movement, that is, after the reincarnation I has fully matured. After completing the condensation of the truth-seeking jade, CG dissipated the samsara I chakra mode and slowly fell back to the ground. After a slight pause, CG used the I technique Takamagahara again and returned to the Mizuki's office. Suddenly, King Si's expression changed. He felt that the samsara I chakra that he left on Kagaya Musashi to control him was triggered. Chapter 238. King Si understood instantly. 3 years had passed. It seemed that Kagaya Musashi had finally found Uchihamadara's hiding place. 3 years. 3 years. Do you know how I spent these 3 years? Old man, wait for me. I am coming. King Si was extremely excited at this moment, as he could finally avenge the serious injury he suffered that year. Chakra could not control itself and continued to leak out of King Si's body, alarming Chinan Kizuna and Yagura Kiruta, who were discussing village affairs next door. Lord Mizukage. Chino and Yagura immediately rushed to the Mizuki's office, but found nothing. They only saw CG with a weird and crazy smile on his face. King Si waved at the two of them, indicating that he was fine. On the contrary, his condition at this moment could be said to be unprecedentedly perfect. Today is a double blessing. Not only did I complete the second movement of the samsara I, increasing the number of truth-seeking orbs to 6, but I also discovered the whereabouts of Uchihamadara, who I had been pursuing for a long time. After a long while, King Si finally controlled his excited heart. I'm going to leave the village for a while. The village is left to you. King Si said to Chinano and Yagura. Chino Kizuna's expression changed. As the Mizukage, how could she easily leave the village? So she hurriedly stopped him and said, Lord Mizukage. Can't you let someone else go? King Si was silent for a moment and shook his head, but he still explained, the opponent is Uchihamadara. When Yagura heard Uchihamadara's name, his heart skipped a beat and he immediately asked for a fight. As the Three Tails Jinchuriki and a perfect Jinchuriki at that, he was confident that he would not be knocked down by Uchihamadara in a single fight like he was last time. Lord Mizukage, I'll go with you. Qing Si shook his head again, I'm not sure what the situation is, I'm just going to go over and investigate. Indeed, Kyoji only confirmed the location of Uchihamadara's lair through the Rinnegan chakra left in Kagaya Musashi's body, but Kyoji had no idea what the situation was over there. The only thing that was certain was that nothing had happened to Kagaya Musashi yet. Then, CG looked at Yagura with a look as if he was looking at a fool, and are you sure you're not going to cause trouble for me? Do you want to ask Isabushi if he wants to fight Uchihamadara? You know, Uchihamadara is a natural nemesis of the Jinchuriki. To him, even the 9 tails, the strongest of the tailed beasts, is just his toy, not to mention the 3 tails, Isabu, who is much weaker than the 9 tails. Even with the cooperation of Yagura, the Jinchuriki, it is not much better. After a brief exchange with Sanwei Isabu in the consciousness space, Yagura immediately gave King Si an awkward but polite smile. Chino Kizuna's eyes rolled, and she made another suggestion, why don't you let the 7 ninja swordsmen go with you? Give that Uchihamadara a righteous group fight that belongs to our hidden mist village. After hearing this, King Si's heart was slightly moved, but then he refused. Although the 7 ninja swordsmen were already very powerful and most of them now had the combat power of Cage, but in the battle between Super Cage level, they did not play a big role, and they might even be affected by the aftermath of the battle if they were not careful. For them with high offense and low defense, even the aftermath might pose a threat to their lives. At this time, Anbu Chief Ken instantly appeared in the Mizuki's office. Mizukage-sama. A call came from the border patrol ninja. A Konoha root ninja was found entering the country. He claimed to be coming to the water country to assist Konoha's Hokage, Shimura Denzo, to deliver a letter to Mizukage-sama. King Si's eyes lit up. His good friend from the Hidden Mist Village, Pot Shadow Denzo Shimura, had sent him another letter. So he opened his mouth and gave an order, bring him back and treat him well. See what our old friend wants next. Let Yagura be in charge of this matter. If there is no problem, agree to it. Yes. Ken and Yagura answered at the same time, and then Ken left in an instant. Well, that's it. I'll go over and take a look at the situation first. Seeing that China and Yagura didn't say anything else, Kyoshi opened his pure eye, ready to use the eye power mark on Kagaya Musashi's body to go and have a thrilling second battle with Uchiha Madara. The Land of Frost, the Mountain Cemetery, and Uchiha Madara's underground base. When Kagaya Musashi, after years of traveling and exploring in the ninja world, accidentally approached this place and triggered the movement of the Rinnegan chakra belonging to Seiji in her body, the outer path demon statue deep underground seemed to have sensed something unusual, as if it felt threatened, and became restless, awakening Uchiha Madara from his slumber. Uchiha Madara was very angry when he was awakened. His meeting with Senju Hashirama in his dream was interrupted. Fei. What's going on? Uchiha Madara asked with a gloomy face. The old voice filled with anger echoed throughout the entire underground base. He was in an extremely unhappy mood at this moment. Lord Madara. A powerful ninja passed by above, causing the outer path demon statue to become restless. Fei's frivolous voice came. In such a short while, he had used the mayfly technique to quickly obtain all the information. Very good. Then he's unlucky. Uchiha Madara said angrily, his eyes instantly turned scarlet. It was the Sharingan, Fei. Come here. He was going to vent his bad temper after waking up. Uchiha Madara knew very well that a ninja who could cause the outer path demon statue to become agitated would definitely be difficult to deal with. However, this was not the time for him to be exposed. In order to prevent the ninja above from discovering the outer path demon statue through some means, he had to kill him. Suddenly, Uchiha Madara's expression turned ugly. Having put on Fei's outer garment, his perception ability was unprecedentedly enhanced. He sensed that Kagaya Musashi on the ground was leaving quickly. In other words, he, or the heretic golem, was discovered. The chakra that had been dormant in Uchiha Madara's body for a long time burst out instantly. With the help of the ability of the Fei coat, he used the mayfly technique to quickly chase after Kagaya Musashi. Since he was discovered, Kagaya Musashi must die. However, although Kagaya Musashi was controlled by Seiji's Rinnegan and became Seiji's living puppet, his instincts were still there. Just when the Rinnegan chakra belonging to Seiji in Kagaya Musashi's body began to move abnormally, he immediately became aware of an indescribable terror gradually approaching him. He involuntarily widened his eyes, fine cold sweat continued to emerge on his forehead, and his body began to tremble involuntarily. This feeling of danger was like an invisible hand tightly grasping his heart, as if it came from hell, bringing with it endless darkness and despair. It made him feel unprecedented fear, causing his breathing to become more and more rapid, and his heartbeat to become faster and faster. So, Kagaya Musashi didn't say anything, immediately burst out at his fastest speed, turned around and ran. But unfortunately, what he discovered was the former Shura of the ninja world, Uchiha Madara. How could he have a chance to escape when his sweet dream with Hashirama Senju was interrupted? He was in a bad mood and was giving it his all in front of Uchiha Madara. It must be said that the mayfly technique is worthy of being the signature skill of White Zetsu. Within a few breaths, Uchiha Madara, who was dressed as a gangster, caught up with Kagaya Musashi who was retreating rapidly. Uchiha Madara accelerated and surpassed Kagaya Musashi underground. A giant blue skeletal hand emerged from the ground in front of him. Under the control of Uchiha Madara, it suddenly slapped towards Kagaya Musashi. Susanoo, initial stage. Kagaya Musashi's expression remained calm. The first stage of Susanoo was just unable to do anything to his corpse bone veins. Corpse vein bone shield technique. A layer of hard periosteum appeared on the surface of Kagaya Musashi's skin. Although he was directly knocked away, he also withstood the attack of Uchiha Madara using Susanoo and did not suffer any injuries. Very good. It seems that I can move around a little today. Uchiha Madara's low voice came. Although it was just a casual attack from him, Kagaya Musashi was worthy of praise for being able to block it and not get hurt. Corpse vein burning blood technique. Feeling the terrifying aura emanating from Uchiha Madara, Kagaya Musashi, driven by instinct, directly burned the little remaining Kagaya blood in his body. In the battle with Seiji 3 years ago, Kagaya Musashi also used the blood burning technique. If Seiji had not forcibly stopped the blood burning technique at that time, his Kagaya bloodline would have been burned out at that time. Although after these years of recuperation, Kagaya Musashi's blood has recovered to a certain extent, it is still far inferior to his peak period, and can only barely maintain his strength at the edge of the cage level. And this time he uses the blood-burning technique, it will probably be the last time he uses it. With Kagaya Musashi's current blood condition, it won't take too long for his blood to be burned out. Kagaya Musashi stomped her feet on the ground hard and flew towards Uchiha Madara like a cannonball. Oh! The blood-burning technique of the Kagaya clan. The Sharingan slowly turned, and Uchiha Madara instantly saw through the ninjutsu used by Kagaya Musashi. He was an old antique in the ninja world, and there were very few ninjutsu he hadn't seen. But it's useless to me. Uchiha instantly increased the output of his pupil power, Susanoo, second stage. The azure blue Susanoo appeared and wrapped Uchiha Madara inside it, directly skipping the first stage and quickly growing meridians and flesh and blood. Then, under Uchiha Madara's control, he clenched his right fist and hit Kagaya Musashi, who was ejected. Boom! Accompanied by a loud bang, as if the whole earth was shaking, Kagaya Musashi's fist, tightly wrapped in bones, like a swift meteor, slammed into the huge and terrifying fist of Susanoo. For a moment, countless shock waves raged wildly in all directions, with the point of collision between the two as the center. Wherever they passed, both the ground and the air were torn apart in an instant, making crackling sounds. The enormous impact force blew away everything around it, and a deep pit instantly appeared at the center of the impact. Even the forest in the distance was not spared, and it collapsed and shattered, raising a cloud of dust. At the same time, a powerful energy storm erupted, sweeping across the entire plain, causing the originally calm sky to suddenly become stormy and clouded. After a short stalemate of 2 breaths, the entire arm of Susanoo, who was fighting with Kagaya Musashi, began to break from the position of the fist, as if it was torn apart by an invisible force. Countless tiny fragments flew in the air, flashing blue light, like a gorgeous meteor shower. The speed at which Susanoo's arm was shattered was getting faster and faster, and in the blink of an eye it had spread to the shoulder. However, Kagaya Musashi's attack did not stop, and his fist continued to move forward with a powerful impact, intending to completely destroy Susanoo's arm. Very good. I underestimated you. Uchiha Madara suddenly became interested and began to get a little excited. This was the most powerful Kagaya ninja he had ever seen using the burning blood technique. He could actually break through his second stage Susanoo's defense. Come on! Kagaya ninja! Keep dancing! The 3 Magatama Sharingan in Uchiha Madara's eye sockets rotated faster and faster, and the pupil power continued to surge out, repairing the damaged Susanoo. Then, a layer of Crotengu armor was covered on the surface of the repaired Susanoo. Susanoo, the 3rd stage. At the same time, Uchiha Madara inside Susanoo quickly formed seals with his hands, and the chakra in his body burst out instantly. Fire style, dust hiding technique. Uchiha Madara spit out a ball of hot smoke from his mouth. After the smoke fell to the ground, it immediately spread rapidly around, instantly covering the surroundings of Susanoo, and then exploded with a loud bang. Kagaya Musashi, who had just pierced through the 2nd stage of Susanoo's arm, was still in the air and had not yet landed when he was caught off guard by this fire escape. Even with the defense of the corpse bone vein, his skin was instantly burned by the extreme high temperature and he fell to the ground helplessly. Uchiha Madara controlled Susanoo, picked up Kagaya Musashi and brought him in front of him. He was ready to use illusion to control Kagaya Musashi to obtain information. Illusion, Sharingan. However, Uchiha Madara's plan was doomed to fail. Kagaya Musashi had the chakra of Seiji's Rinnegan in his body. How could a mere 3 Magatama Sharingan possibly make Kagaya Musashi fall into an illusion? If it was Uchiha Madara's original Rinnegan, it would be almost the same. Uchiha Madara's expression suddenly changed, and instantly became extremely ugly. His Sharingan illusion was rebounded. In the Mid-Autumn Festival, I wish all my dear book friends a happy family reunion. All the best. Happiness. Chapter 239. Uchiha Madara suddenly felt something was wrong. The Kagaya Musashi in front of him had been knocked unconscious by him, but he was still able to bounce back his Sharingan illusion. That could only mean one thing: there was eye power in this person's body, and it was a more advanced eye power than the 3 Magatama Sharingan. In other words, this ninja was being controlled. Uchiha Madara is very familiar with this situation. After all, he has done this many times. Controlling Susanoo, Uchiha Madara broke Kagaya Musashi's neck. He put the body into the sealing scroll and quickly returned to his underground base. This place had been exposed and he could not stay there any longer. He was ready to run away and rebuild his base somewhere else. Just as Uchihamadara was packing up his belongings in the underground base and preparing for a strategic move. Boom! A deafening sound was heard in the underground base, and the location where the sound came from was exactly the top of the underground base. Along with the loud noise that continued to echo in the underground base, a huge hole opened up right above the underground base, and a ray of sunlight shone into Uchihamadara's underground base that never saw the sun all year round. The person who came was Ching Si. It turned out that after the Rinnegan chakra in Kagaya Musashi's body reacted with the Gaiden demon statue, the Rinnegan chakra formed a new fixed eye power mark that could be used to locate Takamaji Ehara according to the pattern set by CG. Although Kagaya Musashi also had the eye power mark left by CG on her body, she had already been killed by Uchihamadara and her body had been taken away. Therefore, the eye power mark on Kagaya Musashi's body could not be used by CG for spatial transfer, so CG could only locate the newly appeared eye power mark, which appeared on the plane where Kagaya Musashi and Uchihamadara had just fought. However, the pure eye has the ability to see through things. Knowing that Uchihamadara and the outer path demon statue were hiding nearby, Kingsi found Uchihamadara's underground base without much effort. Good guy. Old Madara is hiding like a mole, he is hiding too deeply. Kingsi stood on the edge of the pit and muttered to himself. In order to break through the ground and directly reach Uchihamadara's underground base, he even used the Divine Sky Strike. Looking at Kiyoshi who was staring at him from above, and the huge hole made by Kiyoshi, Uchihamadara, who was about to run away, suddenly fell silent. He instantly recognized the person coming as Otsutsuki CG, who had become the fourth Mizukage and ruined his last plan. Had. Uchiha sneered, and a majestic aura emanated from his body. Now that he was discovered, he had no choice but to fight. He, the Shura of the ninja world, Uchihamadara, is never afraid of fighting. It just so happened that he also wanted to see what progress this fourth Mizukage, who in his opinion was a descendant of the six paths like him but had the surname Otsutsuki, had made over the years, and whether he could still enjoy the thrill of battle. Kingsi looked at Uchihamadara's underground base with curiosity, and couldn't help but secretly smack his lips. It seems that White Zetsu is really a good helper. He actually dug such a big hole. Then, Kingsi's gaze shifted to the huge outer path demon statue, which was the body of the 10 tails of Kagaya Otsutsuki. This was the first time he saw the outer path demon statue. In the vision of the pure eye, Kingsi could clearly see the tremendous power contained under the dead tree-like skin of the outer path demon statue. It is worthy of being the body of the perfect 10 tails. Uchihamadara looked at Kingsi who did not take any further action, and threw the sealing scroll that had just collected Kagaya Musashi's body to Kingsi. At the same time, he jumped high and jumped out of the underground base through the hole made by Kingsi. Your people. I'll give them back to you. Kingsi took the sealing scroll thrown by Uchihamadara and easily dissolved the power contained in it. Thank you. When Uchihamadara saw that Kiyoshi easily dealt with his calm attack, his pupils shrank slightly. Judging from the fact that Kiyoshi dissolved the attack so casually, his strength was much stronger than in the battle a few years ago. However, he is Uchihamadara. Even though he is old, this trick is not enough to make him retreat. Yin-Yang escape, life absorption. Before the seal was formed, Uchihamadara's pale face turned rosy at an extremely fast speed, and his wrinkled face also regained vitality. Uchihamadara's aura suddenly soared. This is different from the last time in the land of whirlpools. This place can be said to be Uchihamadara's home ground. There are countless White Zetsu clones for him to absorb vitality, which is enough for him to exert all his strength except for the Rinnegan. Moreover, he has the assistance of Afei's outer garment. Kingsi still did not move at all, just watching Uchihamadara fill himself with buffs and regain his youth. As a strong man, he had enough confidence like Uchihamadara. He was confident that even if the opponent used his trump card, he could still win in the end. Besides, what's the point of defeating an old and frail Uchihamadara? If you want to fight, fight Uchihamadara in full condition. A battle that can be regarded as the pinnacle of the ninja world is what Kingji wants. Uchihamadara, who had regained his youth, was now full of confidence. He crossed his arms and said proudly, Otsutsuki. CG. The fourth Mizukage. Do you want to dance too? Oh. Ching Si laughed disdainfully. It seemed that this old man had not yet realized the seriousness of the matter. Old man. You are about to be buried, so stop causing trouble in the ninja world. Wouldn't it be better to get into the coffin and meet the six-path sage as soon as possible? This era belongs to the young. Uchiha Madara's face darkened. This young man spoke so harshly. No one had ever dared to call him Old Madara. Uchiha Madara instantly lost interest in continuing to communicate with Kiyoshi. On the contrary, he wanted to educate Kiyoshi and teach him how to respect his seniors. With his hands forming the Noon Seal, the chakra in Uchiha Madara's body instantly exploded, continuously gathering at the throat. At the same time, he pushed off the ground with his feet and leaped backwards. Fire escape. The great fire extinguishes. The blazing flames, with the power to destroy everything, spread towards Kingxi. The air nearby seemed to be ignited by the raging sea of fire. The air around it continued to rise steadily, as if the whole world was swallowed up by the endless heat wave. Kingxi remained calm, his eyes instantly switched to the Rinnegan, and his hands were stretched forward. Sealing Technique, Suction Seal. Chapter 240. A layer of translucent chakra protective shield appeared in front of Kingxi. The vast and raging sea of fire was blocked outside by the protective shield, and then continuously absorbed by Kingxi, producing a large amount of white smoke. Uchiha Madara was slightly surprised. The ability to absorb chakra? It didn't show up last time, so, is it a dojutsu? After the smoke cleared, Kingxi stood there calmly, unharmed. However, it is impolite not to reciprocate, so I'll give you a tip. Kingxi did not retract his outstretched hands, but put them together, with the thumbs and index fingers of his left and right hands pressed against each other, forming a triangle shape. The yin and yang chakras quickly gathered and mixed, forming a high-density purple-black chakra sphere. Tailed Beast Jade. Uchiha Madara was shocked. Isn't this the Tailed Beast Ball? But this guy is not a Jinchuriki, how can he use the Tailed Beast Ball of the Tailed Beast? Kingxi's use of the Tailed Beast Ball completely overturned Uchiha Madara's cognition. But the movements of his hands were not affected at all. He formed hand seals and summoned the flame fan from the underground base. After spinning it in the air for a circle, he held it diagonally in front of him, with the fan facing the whistling Tailed Beast Ball. Uchiha rebounds. The Tailed Beast Ball was completely blocked by the flame fan, and then directly absorbed. Uchiha Madara immediately flipped the fan, and the flame fan instantly lit up with white light. I'll give it back to you. The Tailed Beast Ball was bounced back by the flame fan, but it failed to reach Kingxi and exploded halfway, stirring up thick smoke and dust. Kingxi didn't care about it. He knew that Uchiha Madara had this skill. However, this opening ninjutsu showdown was just a warm-up between the two. Kingxi disappeared from the spot in an instant, appeared behind Uchiha Madara, and kicked Uchiha Madara in the back. Boom! Kingxi's powerful kick even produced a violent sonic boom, but Uchiha Madara's extremely sharp combat instincts allowed him to react instantly, and he ducked to avoid the kick. Uchiha Madara supported the ground with his right hand, and without even turning his body, he kicked directly behind him. Boom! Kingxi crossed his hands in front of his chest to block Uchiha Madara's counterattack, but Kingxi ignored Uchiha Madara's strength. Madara, who is known as the Rose of the Battlefield and the Uchiha Dance King, how could his physical skills be weak? Kingxi was kicked out directly by Uchiha Madara. Although some of the force was reduced, his body still couldn't stop moving backwards, leaving 2 deep sliding marks on the ground. Seeing that the attack was effective, Uchiha Madara followed without any hesitation, came in front of Kingxi, and punched him hard. Kingxi's expression remained unchanged, but his eyes changed instantly, switching from the Samsara eye to the pure eye, young Master Biguna. Uchiha Madara's punch missed, but the insight of the Sharingan allowed him to instantly see through Kingxi's ability. He stepped on the ground with his right foot and quickly retreated. Kingxi returned to his original shape and appeared on the side of Uchiha Madara. The bone spur in his right hand broke out of his body and stabbed Uchiha Madara's kidney. Corpse Vein Chun Dance. The 3 Megatama in the Sharingan spun wildly. Uchiha Madara penetrated Kiyoshi's attack path, twisted his body into a strange arc, and avoided Kiyoshi's stab. Interesting. Interesting. Otsutsuki CG. Can you continue dancing? Ha ha ha. Uchiha laughed loudly. As expected, CG was an opponent who could make him enjoy himself. This was the battle he was looking forward to. However, his heart became slightly solemn at this moment, and his vigilance was extremely high. He had noticed the changes in Kingxi's eyes. His eyes were different from the last time they fought. Those are 2 completely different eyes. Although they are very similar, they are very clear under the inside of the Sharingan. However, this is the opponent worthy of his fight. Uchiha Madara became 100% serious. He clenched his fists, making a crisp sound of joints. He disappeared from the spot again in an instant and appeared in front of Kingxi. He pulled out the sickle attached to the flame fan and swept it towards Kingxi fiercely. However, the sword missed. Kingxi, who was well prepared, predicted Uchiha Madara's action and flew up when he swung the sword. It's gone. Uchiha Madara's heart skipped a beat, and his Sharingan spun rapidly. It's on it. Just as Uchiha Madara was about to make a move, Kingxi instantly appeared above him and kicked him from top to bottom with a whip kick. Boom! Uchiha Madara used the flame fan to block Kingxi's attack, but he also felt a huge pressure. With a loud bang, the ground seemed unable to withstand such an impact and began to shake violently. Invisible waves spread out like ripples, and the powerful force distorted the surrounding air. With Uchiha Madara as the center, the ground quickly sank, forming a large pit several meters deep. Boom! CG and Uchiha Madara exchanged punches again, then stepped back from each other, staring at each other closely, and temporarily stopped fighting. Ha 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 ha! Staring at Kingxi with his scarlet Sharingan, Uchiha Madara couldn't help but burst into a hearty laugh. After all these years, you're still the first opponent that I can take so seriously. Although I am not in my prime now, you have to be proud of yourself for being able to fight me, Uchiha Madara, like this. 4th Mizukage. I, Uchiha Madara, recognize your strength. Except for Hashirama, no one who has fought against me is stronger than you. Uchiha Madara continued to laugh wildly, his laughter echoing in the air as if it was going to break through the sky. This kind of wanton sweat-shedding, fist-to-flesh physical combat made him feel a long-lost blood boiling. For Uchiha Madara, this feeling has been too long since he has experienced. His body couldn't stop shaking slightly. That feeling was called excitement and thrill. I can only say that he is worthy of being the leader of the 4 laughing Uchiha. Kingxi looked at the laughing Uchiha Madara, but he was not pleased by his praise. If Kingxi was just an ordinary ninja, then being praised by Uchiha Madara, the former top powerhouse in the ninja world and the Shura of the ninja world, can be said to be a very good thing. You know, Uchiha Madara can be said to be the most powerful figure in the ninja world for thousands of years. He has extremely high standards for judging the strength of ninjas. Therefore, being able to receive his praise is undoubtedly a great recognition and honor. However, the current CG is the 4th Mizukage of the Hidden Mist Village, and his strength is even higher than that of Uchiha Madara. He does not need the recognition from Uchiha Madara.